What's poppin', everybody? Welcome to Culture Pop Season 1, Episode 20. Episode 20. That's crazy. Anyways, it's my fucking internet. Anyways, bear with me tonight. I might destroy my internet because it's throttling like a mother. Yes, spooky season. We're a week away from Halloween. We're gonna come talk about Halloween films and maybe one that's not a film, but it's my show. I'll do what I want, damn it. But yeah, we've got a fun night planned. And if you're wondering where Aaron is, don't worry. He's on the way. He sent me a text and said, "Hey, running 15 to 20 minutes late, stall." And I'm like, that's not a problem. Like, I'm 10 minutes late starting, so half of that's already covered. But we do have the wonderful Dolan in the house. What's up, Dolan /
Hey,
Drew?
great to be here again. It's fun. Yeah, it's hard to 20 episodes so far. That's wild.
20, yeah. It feels like it and doesn't feel like it. And I still have so much other shit that I've got to release. It'll come. It'll happen. This is the kind of hair down show. Have fun. The other stuff will be more structured and a little more like professional, maybe. Is maybe a good way of putting it. But yeah. Hey, so how are you? How are things with you?
I'm great. I'm great, man. Yeah, I am on cloud 9. I got a little less than a week to go for something to kick off next week. But always reviewing art, and it's exciting when you show things to people and they're just as excited as you are when they see it. It's like, okay, I'm on the right path here. I'm on the right track. We're tracking.
Absolutely. Speaking of something, I don't know, maybe kicking off, this might be connected, might not. I really don't know. I think you sent some nice little pictures in our group chat recently. Let's see if I can find them. There's
Hey.
Yeah. So what is this here? What is this?
Recently I sent you guys this isn't the recent version, but we have lettering added now to this page, but this is the opening page to Unholy Nightmare #1. This is where we get to see the intro of a certain arachnid vigilante jumping down in a warehouse near in Gary, Indiana. And if you've never been to Gary, Indiana, it is a ghost town. It's terrifying. It's shocking. So we figured, hey, Gary, Indiana, great place for an illegal drug exchange to take place. So and this is where Vigilante is going to be doing. He's busting up a drug ring right now.
I need to clarify. It's a good place for an illegal drug exchange as opposed to
an illegal drug exchange. Yes.
Watch out for those kids passing that Advil, yo.
Hey, exactly. Yeah, they could be getting it on from the DL from CVS, and selling it in the upmarket,
No, you can't get it on the DL from CVS. They're locking their cabinets in certain cities now.
Oh wow.
Wait,
I was just in New York, so yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right.
Yeah. In New York, where they're locking up medications and everything else, and people are shitting on convention room floors.
Go figure.
What a city. We have I've got two more images. So we got this one here and a nice bloody gruesome look. So first of all, we'll say all the images we're looking at we saw on a previous stream that was just the inks pretty much. Now we're getting to see it with color. This one actually has some lettering because I couldn't resist. Go ahead.
What's that?
I said, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So yeah, this is a recluse right here. This is the hero, the arachnid vigilante, and this is my pitch to this comic is I tell people it's that it starts off as a superhero, vigilante story opening up, busting up a drug ring, but then you get the twist halfway through. It turns into a horror story halfway through, and this is right around the halfway point when we get the twist with the recluse right here. He's a bit of a monster himself, and there's also another character as well that she may be a monster as well, and they don't know. There they are. There she is, Jenny the wolf, and she's taken down. She's got to fight this cybernetic assassin that works for one of the drug exchanging parties. So let's just say this takes place in more than just one page, more than 2 pages, maybe 4 or 5 pages. They're fighting and kicking each other's asses. So yeah,
more than 2 pages. It's a nice change of pace for comics.
Right.
I did want to take a minute because it's really fun, and I mentioned this last time, but it's really fun to kind of get to see the progress of this coming from the idea, and you mentioning the idea that was out there, and then kind of mentioning, hey, we kind of have an idea for this, and leaving it very generic and bare, and then coming in and kind of like sneaking some details in, and then being like, oh, here's some sketches, and oh, here's some of the first pages of art, and oh, it's got inks in there. Oh, here's colors. Holy shit, we're adding lettering, and I love, and it's only been like 3 months, maybe.
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, it's amazing just how fast this has all happened. Because when I listen to guys like Ethan Van Sciver or other people like who've been working on these books for years. This took us months. A few months for 6 pages and getting the campaign ramped up, getting people lined up, covers. We moved pretty quick on this, and granted we did move quick. We like to think this is a top quality. This is quality you're not going to get from, honestly, in my opinion, probably not the big 2, probably not Image, maybe Mad Cave, maybe depending. But so a lot of this quality you're not going to find, especially the action.
Yeah, I completely agree, especially the big 2 right now. I think if you're wanting quality comics, aside from some exceptions, you have to look elsewhere. And even Image is getting to where they're not delivering the quality that you would hope to get from them. So you're really having to look at a lot of these kind of indie publishers that are out there, these legitimate indie, small-time indie publishers, or people doing crowdfunding, because that's where the real magic seems to be. I do, before we kind of get into tonight and everything we're going to be doing, I want to run through the comments real quick.
Yeah.
Zax is in the house, and he says that poll's been greased. Yeah, there is a poll. Make sure you go vote. Did you happen to see the poll? I know both of our internets are being crappy right now.
I did not see the poll. No.
So I asked, what do people find scarier? And there's 3 options. So the first option is slasher films. The second is demonic possession or demonic entity films. Mm-hmm. And then the third is Dylan Mulvaney's TikTok.
Okay, so I'm not on TikTok, so I can't attest to that. So that's scary. So I'll have to go with slasher films right now.
Well, you might be in the minority for tonight. We'll have to check as we get closer to the end of the stream. We also have Mark McGrath calling me out on being late. Lateness is scary. Yeah, you've got some sentiments here. Zach's coming in with for real, Mark. And I just had to add in, lateness is scary. Most likely means there's a baby on the way. Hope you're prepared. We've got Mrs. Sassy Sasquatch in the house. Hey, 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 hey. And with the hey, hey, Zach's is throwing rainbows. We've also got Cannoli Sasquatch throwing rainbows. Look, I'm saying this now. If y'all don't make rainbows in my chat a thing, you're all bigots. All right? And I hope you get canceled. I won't wish demonetization because I know how terrible that is, but not personally. I haven't made it there yet. We'll get there. Mark McGrath, if you haven't watched Kill List yet, as Dolan would say, fix yourself. Have you watched Kill List?
I have not heard of Kill List.
Add it to the list.
All right.
Yeah, Mark McGrath, that's a good-looking nightmare right there. Hoorah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, when you guys see some of these covers we're going to have, yeah, they're going to blow you away. Like one or two of which are pretty haunting. So we're very excited about this. And like you brought up earlier, Josh, I love sharing this stuff with you guys step by step because I trust you guys. And you guys been in the industry, you, Aaron, and others. It's like I love seeing you guys, love seeing your guys' reaction, see what you guys think about it.
And he knows we will be honest. There was one time that he sent a page that had lettering, And I think it was the first time. I think it may have been one of the first times I saw some color as well. But I was like, looks great, love it. Hate the red lettering. I was just like, what? So whether he wants it or not, we're giving him some honesty there.
And I appreciate it. That's what,
yeah. Speaking of things that are scary, hide your children. It is Abomination AJ in the house. What's up, brother? How are you? Yeah. So tonight, and again, we're gonna saw a little bit more for Alberto Magnifico himself. Tonight we're gonna be talking about horror films. And look, I know everyone and their dog that has a channel is doing this right now. So to make it a little different, we are going to cover some classics. However, we really kind of wanted to bring some things to the table that deserve more recognition that they get. So while we'll each kind of throw in a classic, someone may have thrown in two. I won't name any names, but it was Drew. We kind of wanted to bring out some other things that we think deserve a little bit of love because they kind of gotten forgotten, and they're good movies. But before we get into this, some little like jabroni named Maxfield Von Priestley did a horror tier list with some schmuck named
Kiel.
Yeah. Dude, that guy's takes are shit. I mean,
you don't have to tell me. Yeah, I've lived with that for 30 plus years.
Oh, I was about to say, do you know this Kiel person? This Kiel.
Yeah, as soon as you said Kiel, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm well aware of him.
Yeah, Max and Kyle, it wasn't this recent Sunday, but the Sunday before did or no, I guess it was a Friday, one of the Friday streams, Saturday streams. It's one of I was Max's in New York. Streams.
That's right.
That's right. They did a horror tier list, and there were some really good opinions on there, and then some really questionable opinions. But don't worry, this show is going to rock because we're all going to agree that the best horror movie to ever be released is M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the porn parody of The Fappening right after that. Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't even know about that. Is that a real thing?
I'm kidding. I don't know if it is or not. But.
Oh, I was about to Google. So, we might have to do a follow-up next week to see if The Fappening is real. But yeah, we are going to be going through some shows or some films today, some horror films to maybe give you some options of things to watch over the next week. And yeah, hopefully there's some stuff that you like. I think I've stalled about as much as I could. Oh, right. Rainbows. There we go. Oh, here's your rainbow. Oh yeah. Okay, thanks. Fuck you, Mark McGrath. Just kidding. I do want to kick things off, and hopefully Aaron pops in. If he doesn't, then we will we'll circle back to this. But what's happening? Sorry. So Zach comes in with what's happening. How do you like dim apples? It's the trees. It's the trees. Poison Ivy watched that movie at some point and was like, what the fuck? So
I'm honestly surprised T. Franklin or anyone else hasn't done a comic book yet. Story about them watching the Happening, like her getting pissed off about it.
Oh, I'm sure.
We just gave him an idea now. Holy crap! Damn it.
That's MVP uglier.
What is going on?
Wrong.
Time out. We need people to add. I need to find out if people can tell. What the fuck am I doing? That's not what I want. Go away, son of a bitch. Who runs this show? No. There we go. Where?
Look at this.
Oh.
I see. Max was too good to be on the show, but he can be in the background like a little creeper.
No, Max has to leave for class. He's actually being super generous and letting me use his setup today because I had business today. Like we're just here in Anaheim. Okay. So it was like rather than like try to like race back home and deal with traffic, it was just easier to come here. So thank you to Max for letting me use the man cave today.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw you pop up and I was like, the thumbs up in the background. I saw the background. I was like, dude, he got a new setup. And I was like, dude, that looks like Max's setup. Holy shit, that is Max's setup. wait, he's at Max's house.
Mm-hmm.
So master of deduction, I am.
The
Watch
killer
out,
is in the
Batman.
house. Oh,
I know.
That's right.
The call is coming from inside the house. Awesome. So we were kind of well, Aaron. How are you? I guess other than the work business going on in Anaheim, how's your day been?
It's been actually really good. It's been great. I actually had a really good day. I picked up some really cool stuff today. So having a good time.
Hell yeah, wonderful. Well, we're gonna jump into these films and start talking. And the first one up on the list is gonna be something that both you and Drew picked. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't pick it because I knew one or both of you would pick it, and it is John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let each one of you kind of take the lead. So whoever wants to go first, go ahead and run with this.
I will defer to Aaron.
Okay. The thing that I really love about this is just how effective the paranoia in this movie is. If you guys haven't seen this movie, it is about an alien entity that kind of assimilates and impersonates different human beings, kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which is also a really great film. But man, this is John Carpenter's masterpiece. And at the time that it came out, it did very poorly. It was reviewed very poorly. People didn't get it. Even your Roger Eberts didn't get it. And it became so it was a financial flop, but it became a cult classic on VHS and home viewing. It is absolutely spectacular. Kurt Russell is brilliant in it. Everybody is like, it just really creates this sense of not knowing who you can trust. And this is, when they announced Secret Invasion, this is what I wanted from Secret Invasion, a sense of paranoia, a sense of not knowing who was who. And the fact that they bungled that so badly when they had a perfect roadmap of how to do it in The Thing, it boggles my mind. I don't want to, for people who haven't seen it, I don't want to give away too much, but it's absolutely spectacular. The performances are great, and it has an ending that is really powerful, I think. So definitely one of my highest recommends.
Nice. Drew, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's awesome. One of my highest recommends. Like Aaron just said, yeah, it's the paranoia. That's what makes this movie powerful and great. You start off with this group, they're secluded in Antarctica, and they're getting ready for a long winter. And you see, like, they have a great bond. Everyone has a great bond with one another. Some are more factitious than others, but they've been together for a while, which is bound to happen when you're secluded with people. And but it gets crazier, it gets wilder. But I love the relationships, the dialogue. Everyone just feels believable. Everyone's got their own unique character.
Appreciate it.
But I just love that sense of paranoia. No one can trust anyone in this. And Wilford Brimley in this, he is amazing. He is great in this. There's a couple of scenes in particular with him where it's like when he knows what he's up against, when he sees the numbers, like what's going to happen. And then a certain part later where there may be a little tonal change with him. It's like, oh shit, something's happened. But I love this film, and it's got so many great scares. The creature effects, arguably some of the best ever caught on film. And I think that was Rob Bottin. Rob
Bottin did the effects.
God tier creature effect designer. And if you have not seen this, you really truly need to see this. You are going to be blown away by this story. And like you said, the ending, it is one of those endings that everyone is still to this day, debating and arguing about, which makes a film great. Still talking about the ending and everything to the end. And we're probably going to still keep talking about it, years and decades from now.
Yeah, I just want to touch on one thing. You mentioned the creature effects and how it's some of the best ever. And if there's one thing that annoys me about modern day audiences when they watch this, it's the people that complain about the visual effects and the like practical look of the creatures. This was what, 1978?
83.
83.
So it's filmed in 82, I think. Yeah.
And it's one of those things that it was a different time. And yeah, I get that it looks different. But if you can't appreciate how good it was for that, I think there's too many times that we don't appreciate something for how good it was at that time. And I think the effects are definitely there. Just what they were able to do and how they made it look Crazy good.
It looks alien. It looks other.
Yeah.
Like, you can chalk up the effects to being, part of this alien's physiology. It
Yeah.
doesn't look cheesy to this day. It's all right there. There's none of that green screening that we used to get back in the day. It's all physically right there. And if you go and you listen to some of the behind the scenes stuff, they set it on fire at one point, and Rob Botton's like, I spent like weeks on that, and then John Carpenter lights it on fire. At the end of the thing, it's like, I sure hope he got the shot.
I love it.
And another factor are like there are canine dogs involved in this, and the one dog, I don't know how many dogs there were in particular, but the one dog you see, the first portion of the film, that dog is one of the best actors, human or canine, I've ever seen in my life. That dog was creepy in this.
Yep. I didn't watch this until high school, and most of my, I guess, tenure with horror films comes from watching it with my brothers, who are all substantially older than I am. They're like 7 to 12 years older than I am. So I was watching horror films when I shouldn't have been watching horror films with them. But this is one that I didn't watch until I got into high school. And it was a group of friends, and we had gone and asked this is back when you could actually go to a movie rental place, but we were like, hey, what is your favorite horror movie? And he had said The Thing by far. So we're like, okay, so we get it. And I remember we're all there, we're all watching, and the movie ends, and I'm just like soaking it in because I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome. And then one of the girls in the group was like, that was so stupid. And I was like, fuck you, you bizzle hoe, get out of here. I was about to like rage. I'm like, what do you mean that's stupid?
That's when you turn and you basically do the Sylvester Jr. You just go, oh, Barbara, and you just put the bag over your head. Like, can't even deal with you right now. I just want to comment on, I think Zach's has the best comment. Not the first strange dude to stream from Max's bedroom. This technically isn't Max's bedroom, just so you guys know.
I was wondering if it was like a cot in the corner or something.
No, this is the lair, man. He's got like a nice chair over here. He's got a table with a Green Lantern statue. I mean, this is beautiful, but it's all like perfectly like in order, like a good Marine should have it. So different from my own life.
My life is organized chaos. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Mine too.
My home is really weird. I've got certain rooms that have to be like just tidy, super tidy. Living room, anything that's a common space, it has to pretty much be immaculate. My bedroom can be a little bit messier, but I want it to still be my office, the room that I'm in here. It's a shit show. Like there's so much random crap in here, and it's just thrown around. It's like if you go on the other side of this laptop, it's just utter chaos.
Yeah, my office is just like, so you see the city behind me, but then below that, there's like storage tubs that have like, that I haven't like moved around yet, and, that I'm sorting things into and, condensing and just, it's a mess.
Same.
Work in progress.
Same. One of the things I wanted to ask each of you about this, because I think something that tends to be common with horror films is there's usually a scene or a moment that just completely stands out. Do y'all have a moment in this film for you that's just like, when you think of this film, you think of that moment or scene? Test. Aaron, would you agree?
I would say that the blood test is definitely up there, but the one that gets me is the paddles on the chest when they're trying to that moment. Yes. Yeah, that's the moment that like you go from like this is scary to oh my god, this is horrifying.
Yeah,
heck yes. I'm gonna agree with the paddles.
Goes from like crazier to crazier monster design, and it's like so you get the great line. You gotta be flipping kidding me.
Yeah, and you've got the when the head tears off, and like and it's like, and you just see them like they look, and this thing's like walking out of the room on spider legs, and you're just like, what the hell is happening? First time you see it, it blows your mind. And I will say, for those people who are like, oh, the effects are dated, go watch watch this. And then go watch the prequel, which has Mary Elizabeth Winstead in it, which in itself is not a bad film, but studio interference ruined the ending of that. And they wanted to use all practical effects like Rob Botton did in the original. They wanted it to match as much as possible. And then the studio came in and they had to add a bunch of ugly CG. And it really shows you the difference. You want to talk about bad looking effects? The sequel made modern day, looks far worse and far more unbelievable than anything in this 1983 film.
Sheesh. Yeah. I didn't see the is that was the 2011 one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see it. There's certain times where I feel like something is too much of a good thing that I don't want to taint it, and I was already concerned it was going to ruin it.
It's not. I mean, in and of itself, it is a very respectful film of this. You know that they really tried. I would just never recommend to anybody that they watch that first. Just like I would never say to anybody, watch the Star Wars prequels before you watch the original trilogy. You know, don't watch them in order. Unless, and if you insist on doing that, as an aside, then I'm going to say, watch episode 1, and then watch. There's a way that you can do it where it's not awful. But you have to insert the original trilogy into the film as an extended flashback before episode 3. Or you have to. I'm sorry, you have to insert the prequels as an extended flashback into after Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. I will say, because Zax is in the comment, cheesing it up. We actually covered this on one of his recent shows where we discussed movies that were a box office bomb. And Aaron, you mentioned this earlier. It wasn't received well. Fans didn't really. There weren't a lot of fans of it early on, and it's
Summer VT.
Yeah. It has since turned into a massive. I don't even want to say a cult hit. Like it's recognized in so many top 10 lists as one of the best horror films ever created. And it's interesting to kind of think. Anytime I hear a story like that, I always try to think, what do we have today that might become that? Like, and will we or can we is questionable. But,
it's amazing, not just this, but how many films John Carpenter has that honestly are popular afterwards. Like The Thing is one of them. Big Trouble in Little China is another one.
Yep.
They Live is another one as well. It wasn't big when it came out, but it's gotten more popular. I mean, I know, I'm sure there's probably one or two more, but he's, for some reason, when he launches these, they just don't click. But afterwards, it's that traction, it picks up, and they become hits afterwards. He hates it, and then John Carpenter said he's like, why couldn't it have been popular when it came out initially? I don't get it, but yeah.
So are you saying, Drew, if I go back and watch Ghosts of Mars, that I'll say this was an unrecognized masterpiece?
I did not say that. No, not Ghosts of Mars. No. I will not say that.
Worst film.
I will not. John Carpenter's Vampires, yes, but not.
Yes, no. I loved Vampires the moment it came out. Like I saw that, and you had James Woods in that movie, just like chewing the scenery, and that is a cool movie. So many of John Carpenter's films are so high on my list, like of things that I can just watch over and over again. Big Trouble in Little China is one of my favorite movies of all time. I actually a couple of years ago I got my sister to watch it for the first time, and then showed her the video that someone had made on YouTube, David Lopan style, based on Gangnam Style, and she was like, "Did you have me watch that movie just to set this up?" And I was like, "Maybe."
And it was worth it.
It was totally worth it.
Zach's added in a note that The Thing opened on the same day as Blade Runner, and they were both flops. So. Crazy.
Take heart, Marvels.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Mark McGrath, is this Carpenter's best movie? It might be. I think just the I guess cultural impact I think this has had on film and horror and even suspense is its fingerprints are all over so many different things now, and that's, I mentioned suspense for a reason, because it's kind of what you were talking about, Aaron, of you don't know who you can trust. That feeling and how he managed to capture that has kind of just gone throughout so many different genres, both film and television, to really be successful. We have a chump in the chat. We have Flaccid Phoenix. Josh, you probably liked Nick Bosa last night because he was sucking D against my Vikings. Yeah. I don't keep up with football.
What a bunch of degenerates we have in the chat.
We always. Anything else you guys want to add on this before we move on to one of our next classic picks?
Yeah, I just want to say
see it in theater.
This is, if you can see it in the theater, definitely see it in the theater. But this is a perfect film in my mind. This is one of those rare films that I think has absolutely no fat on it. You can't remove a single scene from this and have it work. It is just so fine-tuned, and that's why I think it's Carpenter's best film.
Yeah, it's only an hour 40, hour 30, I think. It's not. Yeah, it's a very compact film, and it's amazing what he gets in. No scene is wasted in this. It's amazing.
Zach says, fun fact, the dog was also played by Wilford Brimley.
We're going to go on to our second pick out of our classics before we move on to the lesser discussed films. And it's Aaron's pick for Halloween. So, Aaron, I'm going to let you take the lead with this.
All right. It's an obvious choice, but and it was one that I was kind of debating whether or not to avoid because it is such an obvious choice, and I thought maybe someone else would pick it. But this movie basically started jump started the slasher genre in the 80s. So everything that you have that came after this, Friday the 13th, Nightmare Before Elm Street, it was all them chasing this, and the money that this made. This movie is super creepy. They didn't even this is before you even really they didn't even credit him in the credits as Michael Myers. He was just called The Shape because when they were making the film, first conceiving of it, that's all he was, is they just wanted this ominous shape. That was kind of like the idea behind it. And from there to a William Shatner Star Trek mask flipped inside out and spray painted, that's how we got Michael Myers. Everything about this should have been a disaster. From the budget to what it kind of could end up. We've all seen plenty of 80s slasher films that were made with far less care, and see how those ended up. But this, another film that John Carpenter, he had a vision for, and he really nailed it. And there's one scene in particular when they get to the asylum and all of the lunatics are loose and they're just wandering around in the rain. And to this day, it's still one of the creepiest scenes that I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah, they're just standing there walking around, and it's just like, what is going on? It is so damn creepy. And not just that, the fence line is pretty damn low too. So it's like they could just walk right over.
And even today, when you go to LA and all the lunatics are just wandering the street, it's still, it harkens back to the terror of that moment.
Oh man, yeah, it reminds me of being on the subways in LA. Definitely seeing my fair share of that. This is one of those films that I distinctly remember moments of from watching with my brothers, and it's this and the Friday the 13th films. Like those, for whatever reason, are the ones that stick out to me the most. And I just remember watching it, and I was, again, probably like 3, 4, 5 around. I should not have been watching these movies. And I remember one of my brothers just every couple of minutes being like, turn around or close your eyes because a murder was about to happen. Close your eyes. And of course I'm like getting the shit scared out of me. But yeah, I love this. And I one of the things that I've always appreciated about this film is how Michael has that just cannot be stopped, Undertaker type presence. And I think even Mark Calaway has mentioned this inspired the way he approached Undertaker in some ways of no matter what you do, he just keeps coming back and coming back.
The way he sits up when the gong rings, that is directly out of this. There's that moment in this film. There's
absolutely
no gong, but just the way that he sits up and then turns, and you're just like, oh.
Because I think he's in the kitchen, right? Is it the kitchen that he's in when he sits up?
One of the upper bedrooms.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah.
Because Jamie Lee Curtis keeps doing the silly victim thing where she knocks him down, stabs him or whatever, and then immediately turns her back on him and starts to cry, a few feet away, and it's like
and gets rid of the weapon,
doing
rid of that, and
guys at home, if ever you're being pursued by a serial killer, by a supernatural monster, and you knock it down, you hit it in the head with a hammer or whatever, and it falls down. You keep hitting the head until it's a paste. You don't drop the hammer and then run away. Don't do that. It's a bad move.
I mean, or if you are going to run, just keep running.
And keep the hammer.
Yes. But if you're like me and you get 2 blocks and you're going to be you can't run anymore because you can't breathe, then then just keep hammering the head. So I do want to do this again. I'm going to ask each of you, is there a specific scene in this movie that for you, when you hear Halloween, this is the scene that you think of?
I mean, I mentioned the lunatic scene already.
Yeah.
You know, Drew and I both talked about that. But like, there's a moment where she first like looks out the window and he's standing amongst like this blowing laundry, just
Mhm.
standing there like staring, and it's such a small thing, but it's so disturbing. Just the look of him and like it's fully lit. He's not even in the dark. It's during the day, and you're just like, what is this guy's story? What is going on here?
I think the fact that it is in the day is almost what even makes it more disturbing.
Mhm.
Like you expect it to be, dark in those types of moments or scenes, but yeah, because it's more unsettling in the fact that you're not even like he as a character is not even trying to hide it. He is just there in broad daylight.
And
Yeah.
speaking of that brings up my favorites. Probably the scene that comes to mind is the very, very end where he's gone. Oh, crap! But the camera you see different points at Haddonfield, but you hear his breathing. You just hear the breathing of him in the background. It's like he's anywhere. He's everywhere. He is the shape of evil. The shape of evil can be anywhere. That's what's terrifying about that.
Yep. I feel like we'll be remiss if we don't at least mention the score for this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the things. I think that might be the thing that I think of when I hear Halloween. It's just the music when he's there. So yeah, good.
And it's a shame. It's a shame what's been done to this franchise multiple times. But you know, you can just watch this one and you know, just pretend that this was all that exists, and you'll be fine. You don't need to get any of the evil dies tonight, you know, hackery that happened later. Oh, it gets so bad. But
I haven't watched most of the new iterations and
don't.
sequels.
I mean, maybe if you're really
2018 wasn't bad. The relaunch 2018 wasn't bad. It was good.
Okay.
But after that, it is a steep dive downhill. It is amazing just how bad it got.
Yeah. We do have Zach's here again. Josh flexing his wrestling knowledge. Look, I do what I can. If you had talked to me in kindergarten and said, "Hey, what do you want to be when you grow up?" I would have said a wrestler. So there you go.
Greco-Roman, right?
Yeah, of course, always. Go back,
but still
to
in
the
a
days.
ring in a stadium full of people, you know.
Absolutely. let's get greasy. I'm gonna go to my pick for classics, and I picked The Nightmare or A Nightmare on Elm Street. This is, I think, one of the first ones that, for whatever reason, when I watched it, it scared the hell out of me, but two, it stuck with me. And I remember it was like a full-on week plus that I did not want to go to bed. I did not want to sleep in my own bed. I was panicked. I remember my parents were pissed at my brothers for letting me watch this with them. And it's just something about the idea of, I think when you have slasher flicks, you have this mindset of, okay, I might be able to fight back. And with this, the idea that someone is coming at you like while you're asleep, through your subconscious in a way, and there's really nothing you can do, and there's nothing anyone else can do, is terrifying. So for me, this is why I picked this. Is it a perfect film? No. Did it do a very good job of just implanting absolute batshit crazy scenarios in my head that I thought was going to happen when I went to bed? Absolutely. And for that reason, I put it on the list. So I want to see if you guys have anything you want to kind of throw in about this, or.
Yeah, absolutely. This movie is really freaky. Like you said, it's not a perfect film, but there's definitely some big continuity errors, like Nancy telling her dad on the phone that, hey, I'm gonna put myself to sleep, come and get me in like 15 minutes, and then she starts setting all the booby traps in the house, and I'm like, so wait a minute, like you have all this time to set all these booby traps and go to sleep. Like the timeline doesn't work out, in the final confrontation. Right. So there's flaws like that. But the terror of this, you're absolutely right, Josh. The idea that like in your dreams, like this guy can get to you. Like you're not even safe. You could be in a vault, locked up where, Michael Myers can't get to you, Jason can't get to you, but Freddy can get to you because you're gonna fall asleep eventually. And there's an absolute horror in that. And Freddy is way less comical in this one than he is in the later films. He kind of becomes part of the joke later in the movies, and it's all about like the over the top kind of kill and what kind of bon mot will he drop, what pun will he make. that kind of becomes the focus. But in this one, he is straight up terrifying. He's kept very much in the dark most of the time. Like you don't ever really get a full look at him. It's absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
Cajun Corey says, "Is Aaron at Max's apartment?"
Yeah.
Yes,
I was
yes,
just
I
about to bring it up.
am.
No, Corey. Max has been using Aaron's apartment.
It's Max wearing an Aaron mask.
Oh, is Max wearing an Aaron mask? We'll never know.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
But yeah, I love this movie.
Yeah.
It's where Johnny Depp got his start. Like this was his first
Yeah.
big break. That's one of the craziest scenes. Is like Johnny
Agreed.
Depp's death in this is absolutely. If you thought his marital bed with Amber Heard was a horror show, let me tell you, watch this movie.
Oh my God, I love it. Drew, do you want to add anything about this real quick before we talk about specific scenes, which I think Aaron may have mentioned his, but
Yeah, the film. I mean, the concept alone is brilliant because when you think, really think about it. Sleeping is something everyone has to do, and the fact that this guy will be in your dreams, and you can't. At some point or another, you're going to fall asleep, and he's going to get you at some point, one or another. That's what's terrifying about it, and the visuals in this. Some of them are utterly terrifying. Some, you said, it. Some of them don't really kind of hold up really when you watch it on the high def TV, but. Some of the
the wobbly arms, the
long bubbly arms,
yeah.
But some of them, like this scene in particular, holy crap, with Tina, it's crazy. And like you said, with Johnny Depp later, yeah, I love it. There's those scenes that you don't forget.
Yeah,
there's not anybody who's ever seen this movie that won't immediately understand the reference. I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
I love it. Aaron, would you say the Johnny Depp kill scene is probably the scene you think of when you hear about this movie?
That and the tongue coming out of the phone is probably the two that I think of most. So they disturb me on totally different levels.
I'd actually forgotten about that until you mentioned it. Yeah, that's disturbing. Drew, what about you? What's the scene for you in this film?
It's got to be the Tina, the bed, this scene with Tina.
Yeah.
When you see it initially, it's like, what the hell is going on here? And I think this is one of the few scenes that still does hold up when you watch it, even though the technical aspects of what they're doing in the room. It's like, okay, but still, how it's shot, it looks amazing. I love it.
Oh, agreed. And the fact of how they did this and when it came out, I can only imagine being old enough to watch this in the theater when it came out. Just kind of experiencing something visually like this for the first time and seeing it. Yeah, no, I just thought I was terrified. I would have been more terrified.
Yeah, so. It's that. What the hell did I just watch? What the hell just happened?
Yeah. We do have a few comments real quick. Max Sparrow, or is it Aaron Von Priestley?
Oh, I like Aaron Von Priestley.
Aaron Von Priestley.
I love my last name, but man, that sounds cool.
I love it.
Oh no, then I would be AVP, Alien versus Predator. That would be my initials.
Question: is that on the list tonight?
No, no.
Killer line, Aaron. I'm not sure.
Oh, it's the marital bed line.
Oh yes, yes,
thank you so much.
Yes. See, that's why I'm friends with Aaron, because when I look like an idiot, Aaron's like, "Don't worry, I'll save the show." Zach said, "Did someone say Tina?" Yeah,
I knew
Tina,
that was going to come up. Yeah, as soon as Drew said the name Tina, I was like, somebody in the chat's jumping on this.
They're jumping on it.
They're jumping on Tina.
We'll have to get Tina on here at some time and see what her thoughts are on things and pop culture. When Aaron mentioned Tina, the one thing I thought about was, and this is just my mind being retarded and crazy, is getting clips of this where they're saying Tina and talking to Tina, but then pulling like audio from Napoleon Dynamite where he's like, "Tina, eat." So
yeah, oh yeah, where he's got the spoonful of, eat it, you fat lard.
Yeah, Tina, eat. Oh man, Ideator said most traumatizing horror scene for me was Amy Smart's from Mirrors. I actually had to turn away. I'm trying to remember if I've
Never
seen
saw
Mirrors.
I've not seen that one. I'll have to put that on my list.
Yeah,
it sounds familiar, but I'll have to look at it. It might be one of those that I couldn't remember. Like when I was going through stuff, trying to kind of pull my picks for. By the way, trying to limit picks for this was not easy. And especially when you're trying to get to the stuff that we're about to get to and do something different, it's like you want to do something different than but people are going to shit on some of your picks. But yeah, I was being reminded of stuff. I'd see like titles for films. I'm like, did I see this? And I'd Google it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I do remember this. But MVP Aaron Von Priestley in the house.
That's right.
You know what this almost sounds like if you're just listening out of context and you don't know what's going on? It's going to the chapel and we're
No, you know what it is? Is it's like if I'm Aaron Von Priestley, then it becomes like a Schwarzenegger DeVito twins situation where they're like, you got all the good genes and I got all the crap.
Yeah. Thanks, Max, you asshole. Max says Tina and I should do a dating podcast. Max, you might be onto something. We might have to make that happen. And then Corey says, I'm not into horror films, so I don't get traumatized except for Ghostbusters 2016.
That was a horror show.
Yeah, that is completely understandable, Corey.
Yes,
and we understand the pain and trauma that you felt from that. I would say we're moving on to our less talked about picks, but somebody, Drew, had to come in and not be able to pick Drew. So he brought in two classics, but no, it's worth it. So Yul had asked about this earlier. Unfortunately, it's not this one. But Yul had said, did anyone say black and white Invasion of the Body Snatchers? Not quite. We have this version, which I think this was 78, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. This is 1970 version. Yeah. And much like The Thing, paranoia is very much at the forefront of this, and that's what makes this film great. And the other aspect of this, it's how it starts off. When the movie starts, you do see these space visuals of these things coming to Earth, but there's a focus on this family, this husband and wife, how this family may be kind of coming apart. The marital aspect of it may not be working, and you have Leonard Nimoy plays like a family doctor therapist guy, and kind of helping these couples therapy. And it's like, okay, maybe there's something more to this, but no, maybe there is something wrong, it is wrong with this husband. But you slowly, a lot of these people start to lose trust with one another because they're slowly, being replaced by the pod people. And you just slowly but surely you see it happen to the city of San Francisco, which is very much a character in this film. The whole city is. And then by the end of it, you get one of the greatest endings to a horror film ever in this film. This film is amazing. Jeff Goldblum's in it as well, a very young Jeff Goldblum. I think Nancy Cartwright as well from Alien. She's in this as well.
Oh, not Nancy Cartwright. That's Bart Simpson. Veronica Cartwright?
Veronica Cartwright. There we go. Veronica Cartwright.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And Dolan Sutherland, great. Leonard Nimoy, great cast in this. And it just, the paranoia is what sells it. And
judging by this picture, a very young M. Night Shyamalan.
I just know. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
That angle and that lighting. Yeah. Definitely.
It does make him look like it.
Yeah. With that hair and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw this picture and I felt like this picture kind of captured the tone of the film really well because of the lighting and that kind of sense of paranoia and dread. But yeah.
And much like with Nightmare on Elm Street, like once you fall asleep, you may get replaced, which is even more terrifying. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Now, have either of you seen the black and white version or no?
Yeah,
I have, but I've seen this far more.
Oh yeah, I have not seen the black and white version, so
it's got moments, that kind of creepy. There's one moment in particular with the lead actor. He kisses his girlfriend, where he thinks it is, and it turns out it's not. But she's been replaced. But it's got that one moment. But there's so many more moments that are terrifying in this, and they're creepy. That this one really holds it. It stands up above the others.
Yeah,
nice. And Ivan Sanchez, hello, sir. How are you? Says, love Invasion of the Body Snatchers remake. The first one, the 90s one, was all right, too. I also have not seen the 90s one.
I have not seen the 90s one.
It was okay.
Who's in the 90s one? That's a.
I'm going to guess Brendan Fraser. I'm going to guess who else was big in the 90s.
I think Donald Sutherland actually might have had a small role in it, maybe. But I think it was just called Body Snatchers, was what it was called.
Was Donald Sutherland Buffy the Vampire's trainer
Watcher.
in the film, like her
Yeah.
watcher in the. He was right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if that was real or if I imagined it.
No, that is 100% real. There's a lot of drama with him involving that film. So
Ooh, we're gonna have to
Yeah.
talk about that later.
yeah, I mean not bad drama, just a lot of set issues with
Mhm.
him. But Drew, I know I'll throw this to Aaron as well. For you, is there? Because again, I think when you go into horror films, there are always iconic scenes that stand out. Is there a scene here for you that just when you think of this movie, that's what you think of?
Yeah, it's the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that last shot, man.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Which we're not going to tell you because we want you to go watch this.
No, and I
Absolutely.
made a joke about M. Night Shyamalan, but the ending of this movie is like something he couldn't even, it's like he's not even fit to touch the hem of its garment.
We're going to assume that he probably watched this and this was like his goal to try to make a not necessarily a version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but something that will live up to that kind of reveal.
What a twist!
What a twist! Which you could maybe say he got close to with his first film and then never got close to again.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, and not that I enjoyed Unbreakable.
Yeah.
There's things that I liked about Signs,
Yeah.
but after that, I can't say he made anything after that I even that I wouldn't want to get that time back if I could.
You mean The Village isn't one of your favorite movies of all time?
Oh, The Village, where we went and we sat in the first 2 minutes. My friend Marie goes, "It's present day."
It just became a whole, anti-terrorism speech and everything that was going on in America. It just, yeah. Wow.
Yep.
But I would think, honestly, I think was it Glass or Shatter, whatever the one with or Split. Split was the one I did like that he did.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And then Glass ruined it.
Glass
ruined it. Yeah.
It's like sometimes you just gotta let go. You gotta leave well enough alone. You gotta, you make that big comeback and people are like, "Hey, that didn't suck." And then you go, "Yeah, but what if I made one that sucked again?"
What if I made one that sucked again? Ivan Sanchez says Arlie Ermy was in the 90s version and the chick who appears in Child's Play 2 as the second protagonist.
Huh.
Was the chick in Child's Play 2? I think she was like a bottle blonde that was on 90210 as a love interest for Brandon. This is how like esoteric my thinking is going to get on this. I think that I hated Child's Play 2 because of that, because I didn't like her on 90210.
Oh yeah, her. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yes.
Oh yes.
You're preventing Brandon from getting with Andrea.
Oh man. My most of my recollections from 90210 come from my mom watching it and then talking about it back when you had phones that had like 20-foot cords to them.
You're just wandering the kitchen, just
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and kind of transition into some of our horror films that maybe don't get the love that they deserve. And by that, I mean, some of these are going to be talked about. You're going to recognize clearly like this one in certain audiences and certain circles. It definitely has a high up place. But if you go look at, one of the bajillion top 10 lists or scariest movies of all times, some of these may not pop on there. But this was one of my picks. I picked 28 Days Later. And there are a number of reasons why I love this. And one, it's the first quote unquote zombie movie that I ever watched that made me actually terrified of zombies. And look, I get it. Technically, they're not zombies because they're not undead, but they are definitely an allegory for a zombie.
They're zombie-like.
They're zombie-like. They're flesh-eating people, and you get turned if they bite you. So it's pretty much a zombie.
Like there's a part where like a drop of blood, like there's a drop of blood falls into a guy's eye. He's looking up at something and it drips down into his eye, and he immediately starts to turn. And that is what sets this apart from your Walking Deads, your Dawn of the Deads, your your typical zombie fare, is that this virus in this movie spreads so quickly.
Yep.
And the zombie, it's the first movie I think that had fast zombies.
Yep.
Like these people run at you full speed.
Yes.
And they turn so quickly. Like it just heightens the danger so much that this film is a roller coaster, man.
It was absolutely and it captures so many different I guess themes and vibes. Like there's this constant state of dread, and you start off kind of with like exposition, and then it fast forward 28 days, hence 28 days later, and you wake up with Killian Murphy's character in the hospital, and like everything is deserted. You can see here like London is. And it's just absolutely empty, and that alone is unsettling.
I lived there for 2 years. I want to know how he did this scene. I want to know how this was filmed. So if you've been down there, that is never not empty, and I want to know. Yeah, that had to have been a green screen or something. That's ridiculous.
No, they got permission to block off certain streets and areas for like a very limited time in the day. So they spent a day going to different areas. And I think they were saying that they were utilizing 10 cameras for each shot to try to get as much footage as they can of that area being empty and then tearing down, moving. So that's how they managed to do this, which is still completely insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that you have zombies that can actually like run, like they're putting on their Nikes and sprinting after you. That's not cool, man. I don't like it.
No, they can run, they can jump, they can climb. Like it's they're not just shambling around. Like as soon as they see you, they are after you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And this is actually for those of you who like The Walking Dead, this is where this movie is where Robert Kirkman kind of ripped off the beginning of The Walking Dead from.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, good themes, and filmed incredibly well too. So Danny Boyle is the one that directed this, and he purposely chose a really low quality camera to film on. He had said he wanted he wanted the look of the film to make you feel uncomfortable. That's why it's so gritty. And just a lot of good stuff. You have moments of going like just really intense, really kind of manic, especially with the way they film and cut stuff with zombies. And then 5 minutes later, you have like a just completely peaceful, serene. And I kind of think of there's a scene where he's in a car riding, and they're in the countryside, and it's just silence and green and quiet and beautiful, and he's just taking in like the peace that he's getting in that moment. He's got his arm out the window and just letting the air. Just the way it kind of transitions and shifts is really good, but super intense scenes. There's a tunnel scene, and I would say there's probably two things that I think of. The tunnel scene is probably one of the scenes that I'm like, I think of that, and that or the end, kind of what towards the end where Aaron was talking about when they find the military.
That's terrifying, because that's one of those moments where you've got these external threats, but then you forget that humanity is also a colossal threat. And when you kind of like realize what these soldiers are thinking of doing, it's it just it's gut wrenching.
Absolutely. Drew, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this film still to this day. And like I said, that tunnel scene where they're changing the tire, that is so intense. It's just you see them coming as they're trying to change that tire. And I love it. It's great.
And another one of those scenes where it shifts like on a dime. Like and I think it's Brendan Gleeson is in this. That's great actor, great work. Killian Murphy, like this is the start of his career, and really good stuff.
Yeah, in Bruges.
Yeah. What's great about these actors in this, like they don't really look like chiseled Hollywood actors. They look like real people, trying to survive in a zombie apocalypse, which is what's great.
Oh yeah.
It's funny because when we saw this, my friend Marie kept saying, "This guy is so weird looking." he's not ugly, but he's just weird looking.
He was weird looking.
Yeah,
he looks like super emaciated in half these scenes because he's so thin,
and then he's got like super long eyelashes, and of course Cillian Murphy has like these really blue eyes.
Yep.
And the way that there's so many shots that are kind of like close-ups on like his face and things like that, and it's really it's amazingly shot. Like just everything about this, it's a really good pick, Josh. Fantastic film.
Nice. Yeah. Ivan Sanchez says, I enjoyed Shaun of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead more than 28 Days back then.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean they're depending on where you were. And Shaun of the Dead is great. And are you talking about the Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead, I assume? Around the same time frame?
Probably. I mean, that's what I was thinking of. We might be wrong, but
that movie's super fun.
Oh yeah, agreed.
And that's got a great opening too. I know that Zack Snyder takes a lot of a lot of shots, and sometimes justifiably so. But the opening of Dawn of the Dead with Sarah, is it Polly? Sarah, I think is her name. Where it shows her go from working a shift in the hospital, and you're just kind of seeing in the background, and Shaun of the Dead bit off this really well. You're kind of seeing in the background things starting to happen, but she's oblivious to it. And she goes home to her husband, and they go to sleep, and they wake up, and the neighbor girl is like in their house, standing in the doorway. And from that moment is so creepy. And then as soon as you see the girl, like her lips are gone, and you can see her teeth and everything, and she attacks, and like from that moment, that whole opening is great. And then when you get he's always good at the opening montage with the theme song.
Yep.
And they use Johnny Cash's When the Man Comes Around, showing you the scenes of what how society breaks down, and it's just that's a brilliant opening. So that I understand why you'd be drawn to that.
Nice. Zach says, great pick, Josh. He also put, I have a completely original idea for a scene, Robert Kirkman. And then Ivan Sanchez says, yep, I recall all three kind of appear at the same time. Yeah, that early 2000s, 2002, 2002, somewhere around in there. And then Zach says Sunshine, also underrated. I don't know if I can.
It was a space film. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'd have to watch. I don't know if I've seen that.
They're trying to reignite the sun is the plot of the film. Yeah.
And then
does it have the same solution as The Core, which is the solution that I think applies to everything? Like even like you're like, oh, what's going on? You got cancer? Drill to the center of the earth and detonate a nuclear bomb. Oh, your marriage is falling apart? Drill to the center of the earth and detonate a nuclear bomb.
I think it's pretty much was the plot. Was like dropping a nuclear bomb in the sun to get it going again or something? Yeah.
Oh, well, they didn't have to drill. They just cut out the middle, man.
Yeah.
All right, next up, I think we have a pick from Drew, and I think it's a pick that was also discussed on one of Zach's streams, and I'd never heard of it until that stream, but Duel.
Yeah, I love this film. I love the story by Robert Matheson. If you're not familiar with Robert Matheson, he's a great writer. He's responsible for a lot of the great Twilight Zone episodes as well, some of those stories. But what makes this even more special, this is Senor Spielbergo's first film right here. And it was I think it might have been a TV movie initially, maybe. I'm not sure.
It was a TV movie.
Yeah, which is amazing when you watch this. But the premise of this is simple enough. I mean, a man is being chased by a big rig in the desert the whole time. But when the driver thinks he gets away, nope, big rig catches up to him right behind him. It is creepy because stuff like this can actually flippin' happen. And what makes this movie even scarier is that we never see the driver. We never know who the big rig driver is.
It's never revealed. This is a really good choice, Drew.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even have thought of this, but you're right. This is amazing.
And what makes it even more terrifying for me is a 1 year driving to Terrificon. This actually happened to Ernie and I. We were driving Sean's Cadillac Escalade, and we got past the big rig, but he was riding behind us all the way through Pennsylvania, through Connecticut, through going through the hills and the mountains, keeping up with us, weaving around cars to get up with us. I'm like, I'm back in fucking Duel right now. This is terrifying right now. And I mean, honestly, like all I'm going to say is be careful when you're around big rigs in the desert, or, just don't piss them off.
Do you think the movie with, the name of it is escaping me right now, but it's got Lily Sobieski and Paul Walker and Steve Zahn.
Oh, Joyride.
Joyride. Do you think that was kind of inspired? You think they took inspiration from this? Because there's some similarities.
Absolutely. 100%.
Except this one's more terrifying, I think, because you don't know anything about the guy in the truck. Whereas in Joyride, they actually mess with a trucker who you don't see, but they mess with him, and they mess with the wrong guy, and he just keeps coming after him. And that's a good movie too, but it's nowhere near on the level of this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that idea of not knowing who the person is also what's terrifying, especially after you've had that truck follow you for so long. Because if you do stuff and get out and do anything, you don't know. You don't know that person could be like 10 feet away from you. You have no clue.
Yeah, because there's a scene where there's a scene in this where he does park. Both vehicles do park. They get into a diner, and the driver's trying to figure out who it is. He may or may not be. But then right after that, pace picks right back up, and it's intense the whole way through.
Yeah. Zax came in and said metal choice. And then we have Ivan Sanchez. I knew about Duel thanks to Tiny Toons from their Halloween special back in the 90s. Dude, I don't even remember.
I don't remember.
Okay,
Duel
can you
homage.
imagine? Can you imagine a writer today on the god awful Tiny Toons University? And by the way, you know what? I just want to say this for both me, Joe Corallo, people who've actually looked at Tiny Toons University. He actually made me watch it because he was like, "You won't believe how bad this is." The fact that everybody freaked out about Velma, but everybody's giving Tiny Toons University a pass. Nobody's talking about how god awful that is a crime. All right, it's just as bad in a different way. But the idea that any writer on that show would go back and do a Duel reference, or even do a reference that is that much of a deep cut, is unbelievable. And obviously Spielberg directed this and was one of the producers on Tiny Toons, so it makes sense. But I guarantee you, nobody on the on the show now even knows what this movie is.
No way. But you are saying I should go watch the new Tiny Toons, right?
I'm saying there's one specific episode that we should force you to watch because it is everything that is wrong with modern reboots.
Just let me know which one it is, and I will go watch it.
I think it's episode 5. It's the one where they do a talent show.
Yeah, Ivan Sanchez says, "Oh, it's bad." I think Joe brought this up on a stream once. And was like, "You got to watch it. It's terrible."
It's so ridiculously unfunny, but it was like I can watch. Like I watched Velma and I was like, "Yeah, this is pretty much modern day. This is stupid." Yeah. But it didn't make me enraged the way that Tiny Toons was, and how ridiculously unfunny and how awful it was.
Fair, completely fair. Flaccid says best horror movie is The Ghost of Mr. Chicken.
Don Knotts classic.
Classic. Drew, is there anything else you wanted to add to this before we?
All I gotta say is, honestly, you guys need to. If you can find this, watch it. I bought it on I have it on DVD because this is one of those films where it's like I said, this is a hidden gem. It's kind of hard to find this film. I don't know if it's on Amazon Prime or not, but do yourself a favor. You're gonna be blown away. You're gonna be terrified when you watch this because it really does hit the home, like just how it can actually happen.
Yeah. There's a new trend right now that I think just started like this year or last year, where people they're trying to measure how scary films actually are. So they're putting heart monitors on people while they watch horror films, and they're looking to see what like the average peak heart rate is in a film, and then what the peak heart rate is in a film, and then what the average heart rate is in a film to kind of determine how scary is this film. And they're breaking movies down by that, and it's really, really interesting to kind of see different films with audience heart rates. And I'm like, I might want to do that.
Yeah, it's interesting to find out. It would be interesting to find out what the commonalities are, because obviously fear is subjective. Like there's movies that some people find terrifying that I watch and I'm like laughing through them. It depends on like what you're scared of. Like you could do a movie about spiders and I'm not freaked out by that at all. But
yeah.
For me, I can't watch Arachnophobia. I will not. I cannot watch it.
There you go. See, perfect example.
I was like, great setup right there.
I can't watch Ghostbusters 2016.
Yeah. The comedy is terrifying.
No, they're ad-libbing again. Ah!
Oh my God, it's a bunch of women screeching. Oh.
And they're dancing.
Yeah.
And they're dancing. And they're dancing.
Thank God for Chris Hemsworth. Next, we've got Aaron's pick, Event Horizon. So, Aaron, I'm going to let you take it away with this.
This is maybe a little. I wanted to go with kind of an unconventional pick. When I saw this movie, I got really sucked in. I saw this in theaters, and I got sucked into the beginning of it, where so the premise of this is that there is this ship called the Event Horizon, and it had this new drive that allowed it to fold space. If you've ever seen a movie where they explain how hyperspace works, and they do it by folding a piece of paper and then punching a pencil through it, saying that, we don't travel from point A to point B. Like, the shortest distance isn't a straight line. It's this, this gate to this gate. This is the first movie that did that. Every movie that's done it since then has ripped off that explanation from Event Horizon. And so this drive, the idea is that it folds space and then does a jump, and you can get across the universe, across the galaxy instantaneously. But on its first trip, it vanishes and nobody knows where it went. And then I think it's like 10 years later, some number of years later, they pick up the distress signal, and it's like outside, like, maybe Jupiter. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I don't remember the particulars, but it's just way out there, and the emergency beacon is going off. So they put together a ship with the original scientist who built it, Sam Neill, and Lawrence Fishburne is the captain of the Lewis and Clark, the rescue ship that's going to go out. And they've got a crew, and they go out to rescue it. And it's just the investigation into what happened with this ship and all of the crazy things that start happening on the ship as they're trying to figure this out. And it just builds and builds and builds. And if you guys haven't seen it, I don't want to give too much away. I don't want to say like kind of what the reveal is. It did for me lose a little bit of tension when the reveal came, because then I was like, oh, I kind of know what to expect now. But that buildup when you didn't know is super freaky. Like, and there's this great moment where if I can spoil one thing for you, if you don't want to hear it, just mute this for the next second. If you do actually plan on going and watching it and you want to absorb it completely. But I think I've given you enough time now to switch off. But there's a moment where they first watch this video of the original crew, and things get crazy. And then there's a moment where Lawrence Fishburne comes back, and the guy that says, remember when I said that they were saying "Liberate me," save us? He goes, I've been listening to it again. They're actually saying "Liberate autem," save yourselves. And that moment is like the moment where like then just everything goes to hell.
You're screwed.
Mm-hmm. And there's such a great moment with Sam Neill. How, if you haven't watched this movie's super old. You have no one to blame but yourself. But there's a great moment where it's like, we got to get off this ship. We're leaving. And Max said in our chat when we were talking a little bit about what movies we wanted to pick, that he loves the moment where they're just like watching, and Lawrence Fishburne just goes, "We're leaving," and it's like we're getting the hell out. No questions asked. We're out of here. And he goes to Sam Neill, and they're standing in this darkened corridor because there's this long corridor in between the cockpit and the crew, and then the drive that controls the ship and actually opens the gateway. And he says to Sam Neill, Sam Neill doesn't want to leave. He's like, no, this is too valuable, and we need to, that guy in every horror movie, like, no, we need to do this and that. And he tells him, you get your ass back on the Lewis and Clark, or you're going to be walking home. And Sam Neill just goes, I am home, and steps back into the shadows and disappears. And it's such that freaked me out in the theater. I was like, what is happening?
What's going on? Ivan Sanchez says, when Paul W.S. Anderson makes his own movies, it's awesome just by looking at Event Horizon. He needs to do that more often. So, Drew, do you have any thoughts on Event Horizon?
Yeah, I remember seeing this at a very, very young age when I shouldn't have seen it. Yep. And like you said, there's certain, I call this Hellraiser in space, even though they did make a Hellraiser in space. This is Hellraiser in space for me. There are some great visuals in this, like one of the opening video footage they find. That footage apparently, I guess in the original uncut version of it, it went a little bit longer and was more graphic, which is hard to think about. But what you're given, it is like, what the hell is going on here? And one of the I do love a lot of the deaths in this, or I think one of them did die. But there's an airlock scene with one of the guys. It is creepy what happens to him and his body. Think about what happens to him. But it's a very unsettling film, and it's a very fun watch.
There is a tonal problem in this film at one point with the character of Cooper, where it was like they just kind of like you kind of feel like the studio was like, it needs some levity. Make this guy funny, and there's like a scene where you're like, really, like you're doing this right now, you're doing this scene. Oh, okay. But aside from that, I think it's really strong. And Julie Richardson, an actress that at the time I had a bizarre crush on. I don't know why. I just she was in a couple movies that I liked, and I thought she kind of she really sells. She really sells it in this movie. I mean, everybody does a great job, but like her, Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill, all at the top of their game.
This is one of those that I remember seeing when I was little. I don't remember a ton about it, and I haven't revisited it, but I need to revisit it and go pick it back up. Because with so many things, I remember watching things as a kid and then picking them up as an adult and either having more of an appreciation or wondering, what the hell did I like about this? But this was one of those that I watched. I just, for whatever reason, when I was younger, I never got into any type of space type show. And if there's anything in space, I kind of would check out for a while. So there's a lot I need to go back and catch up on. Zach's Event Horizon rules.
Mm-hmm.
And they put, there's a story with Event Horizon about how we can't get a director's cut because they didn't store the film properly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. They stored the film like in a vault, I guess in an area where like the moisture ate up a lot of the film, and can't be. There's no director's cut, unfortunately, for it. Sheesh.
We have Melvin deeply in the house. Welcome, sir. Jolie Richardson was Liam Neeson's sister-in-law.
Huh.
That's a nice little
fun fact
there. Aaron, did you want to put a little cherry on top of this before we move on to the next pick?
No, I think I said my piece, and I think I named some scenes that stood out for me. So
absolutely,
I think we can move on.
Heck yeah. Next up, we've got Frailty, one of Drew's picks. So I'm going to let Drew take it away.
Yeah, I love this movie. Honestly, you know, every time I revisit this movie, I just remind myself just how, to this day, even from when it came out of nowhere, it went nowhere and has been underappreciated, in my opinion, since. And so effectively, the plot of this is about a father. One day, he's got a vision from God that he's able to see demons hidden as humans, and it's his job to kill them. And what makes it even scarier is that there's two kids involved, his sons, with him, and they're put in some very, very disturbing moments and situations in this film. And like I said, I've loved this since I first saw it as a kid, and it's a great example of how terrifying and powerful belief can be. And is someone crazy for what they believe? I mean, are they telling the truth? And when it's in the family, do you go along with it? I mean, do you turn on your family? And is the father evil? I mean, Matthew McConaughey, Bill Paxton, who also directed it, Powers Booth, they're all great in this. And this is a terrifying film, like I said, about the power of belief. And you don't know who's right, who's wrong, what's good, what's evil, even up until the very, very end of this film. And that's what makes it great and rewatchable.
I don't know if you saw me get a little jump scare there, but Gideon jumped up on the desk, and I
saw that. I was like, we have a spooky cat sighting. I am going to potentially embarrass myself and say I've never seen this.
Oh my God!
Drew said, it's an under talked about gem.
Yeah,
it came out. It like had a big it was one of those movies that had like really big buzz for such a small time, and then it's like it just fell down the memory hole.
Yeah.
I keep reminding myself about that. I got it. There's a lot of horror films I love that people have never seen or heard of, and this is one of them. This is I'm not gonna lie, Josh. This film is a gem. Once you see this, you're not going to forget it. I guarantee it. And because honestly, when you watch it, it really kind of feels like it almost could have been a Stephen King book at the same time. The premise of this. But a good one, that is. But
this one has a good ending, so it couldn't have been a Stephen King book. But
fair,
so they actually took the time to construct and put together a good ending. It wasn't just a coke fueled, scrawling of a madman.
What do you mean? Coca-Cola is a wonderful drink to have. I don't know what you're talking about.
Speaking of Stephen King, whenever you see pictures of him now, do you like immediately recognize that it's Stephen King, or do you for a moment think that you're seeing like an elderly lesbian that runs a bookstore in Portland? Because for me, it's the second.
Yes, it's an elderly lesbian. Yeah, because when I think of Stephen King, it's like 1980, 82 Stephen King. I think of.
Not this recent version. Who's his social media presence sometimes kills me. We've got Melvin Deeply. Frailty was a good movie. The ending surprised me. Yeah, I think that's kind of what Drew was talking about with you not knowing until the very end. And then Zach's. Yes, Drew. Frailty is an absolute gem. Bill Paxton directed. Yep.
That starred and directed in it. Yeah.
I knew that Drew was excited to come on the show and do this because we plan it so well around here that we were, texting each other last night trying to get a list of films. But like I was like, hey, I think I'm just gonna go with these, and I just threw mine out there to kind of let them land on picks. And then here comes this like essay from Drew that's like, these are my picks, and here's a description.
It was the exact opposite of my response because Josh is like, hey, do you guys want to do horror movies? And and Josh has like this long kind of like message about, we could do this and we could do that. And my response is just, sure. And then Drew has this essay.
Yeah. And then Drew's like, awesome. And I'm like, Drew, if you want to join, come on. He's like, yes. And then essay. I was like, yeah, super excited. Ivan Sanchez, Bill Paxton appears in this movie. Yeah, I heard it's really good.
He plays the dad, and like I said, I mean, he plays this dad who gets a vision from God, and he's got two kids. One who is who follows the father, unquestioning and questioning the hero. But you also have the other son who's like, no, what are you talking about? Dad's crazy. What the hell are you talking about? We got to get away from him. We got to turn him into the cops. And there's some great moments in this. I honestly, Josh, do yourself a favor and do watch this. Honestly, you have to.
I might have to go put this on. I think it's on Amazon, so I might have to go throw this on tonight. And look, McConaughey's a local boy. I got to support the guy. Why not?
He's great in this. He's absolutely great in this.
All right. From Longview, Texas. It has an accent.
A great thing about this movie is it keeps getting older. I don't have a punchline for that.
I'm excited to watch this. Even when I was trying to pull images to throw together for tonight, one, because clearly I don't know the film, but his look here for me was like, okay, it's captivating in a very strange and unsettling way. Sorry, I heard noise outside. I think someone's moving trash cans.
Well, yeah, and also, like I'm hearing the same. Like Gideon is like, I think he's sharpening his claws on something, and I'm like going, like, should I be doing something? Should I be stopping him? Like what? He's putting on his Freddy Krueger glove.
Yeah. I'll be in
your you know what? I wanted to mention that, Josh, when you were talking about Nightmare on Elm Street. That movie was so scary that my little brother watched it before he should have. This time it wasn't my fault. This time he watched it before he should have. And at the time, my dad was doing some renovations on the house. So there were spots of drywall where he was replacing the drywall. And so there was a crack in the bathroom right next to the bathtub where the wall met the bathtub. There was a crack, and it basically went to the crawl space under the house. And so my brother was sitting on the toilet, a little kid, going to the bathroom, minding his business, reading a comic book. And one of the cats heard him in there and was under the house and stuck his paw through the wall and started scratching, like doing that thing where cats like put their paw through and they do. And even though it was a cat's paw, my brother freaked out and started bawling and screaming. And we run in there like, what's wrong? And he's like, Freddy Krueger's trying to get me. And we're like, what?
Yep, I may or may not have had some similar moments. Waking my family up in the middle of the night because I'm running to hop in their bed.
Probably the easiest bowel movement he experienced in his young life.
It just came right out. I think one of my picks is next, and it might be the most controversial pick of the night, potentially. But similar themes, it seems like, to kind of what Drew was mentioning, and let's see if it is. Yes. So I picked Exorcism of Emily Rose. I picked this for a couple of reasons. One, I'm just going to say upfront, Jennifer Carpenter, I think she's excellent. She never even got close to acting as good as she does here in any other film or TV show. But one of the reasons I like this is I grew up working in a church. And one of the things that I mean, it wasn't a Catholic church. There wasn't exorcisms. There wasn't anything like that. But there were moments, probably 3 or 4 moments throughout my entire time that I witnessed things that I could not explain. And because of that, the idea of demon possession has always just terrified the shit out of me. I'm literally getting chill bumps right now. And something about this film in particular, aside, because I purposely did not want to go with The First Exorcist. The First Exorcist is incredible. It's a classic. I picked a different classic. I was trying to avoid classics. And I picked this because there are dozens and dozens of exorcism or exorcist related films out there, and I usually cannot stand them. And this one I actually enjoyed, and I enjoyed it for two aspects of Jennifer Carpenter's performance here, and then also, this is one of the things that people dislike about it, but I loved the court aspect of it as they debate practicality versus faith, and where does that line cross, and when is it right and when is it wrong. But I picked this. Have either of you seen?
I have not seen this.
Yeah.
I think I really meant to at one point. I was like, oh, this looks interesting, and I just never actually sat down to do it.
Yeah, I think this came out in 2005.
Yeah, I remember like this came out when I was stationed in England. Like there's a period there where like there were films that came out that I have like a pop culture black hole where I just missed them. And this was one of them I saw when I got home on leave, and this blew me away. And especially like you said, Jennifer Carpenter in this, because there's some scenes in this where it's like, I honestly thought it was like CGI or like a practical like a prop built. No, that was her. Like a lot of the physical things, that was actually her, which is
contorting.
Disturbing. Yeah, and I could not believe that. And it's like that just raises a lot of questions, with her, but interesting questions. But it really blows you away, just the special effects in this, the monster stuff, the demon. Yeah, it's great. I enjoyed it. And like you said, the court stuff is good. It really feels like we get some great stuff with her going on, and then it cuts to the court scene. It's like, oh, okay, back to the court scene. All right.
It's kind of like it's teasing that build up to what is coming with the actual exorcism. And I think that's one of the things that lets me down with a lot of exorcist related films is I feel like the exorcisms are usually, I'll put it this way. I feel like exorcism films are inspired by one of two things. The original Exorcist, hands down, deserves it. Or I've noticed a lot of female actresses now try to do their best Jennifer Carpenter impersonation. And I mean it. Like they're trying to contort their bodies the same way she does. They're trying to speak the same way she does. No one
can. Her contortions in this are disturbing.
And even her cadence, like when she's possessed, and I'll just say the entities are speaking through her. She speaks in a different cadence, and there's one point where she's counting to 6. If you've seen the movie, you know why. But it's the first time she starts counting to 6, and the priest is like, tell me your name, demon, and she just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But she repeats it like 3 or 4 times, and it's that last time she hits 6, and she just kind of like snaps her head, and she has contacts in and stuff. But the way she says 6, I was like, holy shit, this is terrifying. And then they talked about, there's a way she screams in some of these where it's an actual vocal technique where you can hit resonance within 2 chambers. And she learned to do that for this film, to scream. And it's unsettling, but yeah.
You guys don't know how hard it is for me not to just like shout at Gideon, "Damn boy, you thick!"
I'm already seeing some opinions here, but Melvin Deeply, I rather would have seen the exercise video of Emily Rose. Fair. Ivan Sanchez, I've seen it. I haven't seen it, but it looks good. It's a modern day exorcist film. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. I really appreciated what she did here. The ending of this was, okay, time out. Are you talking about the ending, like not the exorcism, but the actual ending? It's based on a real court case, so I
don't like. Demon stuff. I don't like. Yeah, I tend to be in the same boat as you, Josh. Like I've seen some things that have really like given me pause. It's why I don't mess around with the occult. Like when people are like, "Oh, you want to play with this Ouija board?" I'm like, "I'm good. No, thank you." Look. Do I know for a fact that that's gonna open some doorways and cause some problems? No, I don't. Do I think that there's any reason that I should roll the dice on that? No, I don't.
Yeah.
So so like I mean, but and it's hard now, like to just you walk around, I live in Southern California, and like I referenced earlier, like going to LA, and you're just walking people walk around, and just the depths of mental illness, but some of the things that these people say, some of the things that these people do, some of these things that these people are afflicted with, and I know there's mental illness, there's drug use, but all of that, could be interpreted as forms of demonic possession, and so it's deeply horrifying, and I think that's why we have such a fascination with films like these, is because on some like basic level we feel like this could be true.
Yeah, and that's one of the that is actually one of the plot lines here in the court case. It's brought up. You have the prosecutor that's pretty much saying, like, this girl was suffering from mental illness. She was taking medication for mental illness. Like, this isn't a demonic possession. This is mental illness, and what you were doing was negligence. So you kind of create that. It creates that commentary and discussion of, at what point is faith something that we will kind of from a legal standpoint, maybe, or a secular standpoint, toe the line with and allow, and at what point did the secular side of things say, no, this is complete negligence, and you need to actually do something? So really interesting conversation there. It doesn't try too hard from a court perspective either. It just kind of lays out. And one of the things that I appreciate about this is Scott Derrickson directing, and he co-wrote, and one of the producers co-wrote, but they both have different opinions on faith. So one believes, one does not, and they each wrote their own their own side of the court scene. That way you had an honest depiction of what people think, and then made a point to try to not have it lean one way or the other in the script. So nice little
From what I recall, Scott Derrickson is a religious guy. So
he is. Yeah. And I believe the producer is atheist. Their friends work together, do a lot of stuff together, but they both purposely came and kind of made a point to say, why don't I write these scenes? Why don't you write these scenes? And we'll just put them together. That way it wasn't like one person with their stance kind of putting a slant or lean to it. So
wait, Josh, are you telling me that people of different belief systems and opinions can come together and not only work together, but be friends?
In Hollywood?
Unless you refuse to go pick up a brand new comic about a gay character that is not a retcon at all, then yes.
Crazy.
We have some trouble in the house tonight. MV Penis, peekaboo. Talking about thick boys, MV Penis over here. And on that one, I'm gonna move on to our next pick of the night. And it is Aaron's Cabin in the Woods.
I picked this one because it's an unconventional choice. Yes. It works as a horror movie, it works as a comedy, and it works as a deconstruction of horror movies.
Yep.
One of the things that I really love about it is when they set out to do this, they gave it a definitive ending. Mm-hmm. So that there can be no sequels. There is just an ending to this, and it's the biggest ending of probably any horror movie that they've ever done. But it's such a great, just kind of like deconstruction of horror movies, but not in the typical like deconstruction way that we hear now, or that we think of things. It's just if you liked Scream, which kind of did that with the slasher flicks, this one does it to every variation of horror movie all in one.
Yep.
And every variation of horror movie exists in some way in this film. So, what's your horror movie, monster of choice? It's in here. And even some that like are hilarious. The unicorn, for example.
I was just say the unicorn.
Yeah. The premise of this movie is that all of these horror films, everything, that they all like do sort of exist. And we are basically every year there has to be a sacrifice made to the elder gods, like the Cthulhu gods.
Yep.
And I think the Kronos is one of the gods in this, if I'm not mistaken. But so what they have to do is they have to do this elaborate sort of horror movie killing to appease the gods, and it has to happen in a certain way, much like the tropes of a horror film. And so there's actually all these organizations in each country around the world, Japan, the United States, Belgium, Germany, like they all have to have they all have their own, and so you get like some cultural differences and things like that in the horror, but they all have to have their own because it's so important that the gods be appeased that every country does it so that there's just overlap, because if it goes wrong, the gods awaken and the earth is destroyed. So it's really smartly written, that it's really well acted. The dialogue is great. Chris Hemsworth is like fantastic in this. The redhead whose name escapes me, she's the perfect like kind of damsel in distress ingenue character. The guy in the back that looks like Shaggy is like the perfect stoner character. Like every trope is represented, and just the monsters are great. And I absolutely love this film. I can watch it anytime. And Richard Jenkins and Bradley Whitford are the guys in the booth, and Amy Acker is in there. If you guys like Buffy and Angel, like Amy Acker is in there as well. And it is just perfection. Their scenes especially, like they bring the humor, but there's also such a horrific element to kind of the mundane way in which they view what they do. It's like an office job for them. It's the most important job in the world to keep the world going, but they're jaded, and it's just a really interesting juxtaposition. There's a lot of things happening in this movie. I think you guys will like it if you haven't seen it.
Absolutely. And Aaron's right. Like whatever monster you can think of, it's here. I remember watching, I went and saw this in the movie theater, and I loved it. One, this was going to be on my list, but I remember Aaron mentioning this movie once. So I was like, I'm going to see if he picks it. And if he doesn't, this is definitely replacing Emily Rose. However, Aaron pulled through for me and he picked it. So I was like, heck yeah. I remember watching this in the movie theater, and the fact that they play into the tropes of this, like they even play into the tropes of the weirdness that you sometimes, not even like creepy weird, but like this isn't normal behavior before any of the weird stuff is supposed to happen. Teen movies, what you tend to see in teen horror flicks, that type of stuff, they play into those tropes within the first like 10 minutes of this film too. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this film. And then it kind of changed its pace. But there is one scene, and I'll say it's when the first attack happens, that the tone of this film just drastically shifts, that you don't think it's going to be intense, and then it's intense, and then you just get so much of just everything. It's just, from that point on, it's just like firecrackers just going off. Like there's so much to take in that it's unreal.
And you like every character.
You like
that's
it.
The other thing that they do, like in a time where so many characters in movies, it's like, this is the character you're supposed to like, and it feels like rammed down your throat, and you're like, I hate this character. You genuinely like every character in this movie, and you don't want to see them get massacred. In a lot of horror movies, you're like, I can't wait till this bitch gets it. I can't wait till this asshole dies. But in this one, like you really are rooting for everybody, and they don't make it like it's
no.
It's a horror movie. They're not all gonna make it.
Drew, have you seen Cabin in the Woods?
Oh yeah, I've seen it many times. And the one, there, like I said, there are a lot of great scenes in this. I do love the humor in this; it's amazing. But I gotta say, still, right now, it's the opening of this. The opening of this gets me every damn time, even in the theater. When the film opens, you have Bradley Whitford and the other guy. They're just talking about going shopping to Home Depot, getting stuff. I'm like, what's going? What? I remember the first time seeing the film. I'm like, what? Am I in the right film? And then boom, Cabin in the Woods. It's like, what the hell is going on?
They said that, like I saw a commentary where they said that was intentional. They wanted people to feel like they walked into the wrong theater.
Yes.
There we go.
Written by the now ostracized Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard, who both worked on Buffy and Angel together. It's Joss's shows, but Drew worked on it with them. But they wrote this in a weekend. They booked a hotel together for a weekend because they had kept talking about wanting to do a horror film and wanted to get it out. And then Joss, they had a break between something, and Joss was like, why don't we just knock this out? So they booked a hotel room, and then just 3 days, just the script. And the fact that they knocked it, which I guess when you have conversations, you can kind of toss around ideas, but the fact that they threw down a film script in 3 days that was this tight, this solid, and this well thought.
It's like the Ghostbusters story with Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd. They were hanging out at a cabin, just getting high and stoned, and boom, they wrote Ghostbusters.
Again, another movie with no fat on it, and I would say that about Cabin in the Woods as well.
Mm-hmm.
Every scene is necessary to make the film work.
Yes. And you'll never look at coffee mugs the same or coffee thermoses the same way again.
Yeah.
We got Nosferatu in the house. What is this absolute shit show? It is just that, a shit show. And he put Ban Aaron for not bringing up Klaus Kinski in Nosferatu 1979. You know what, Nos? I'm sorry.
It's a good. It's Klaus Kinski's good in that. I'll say it's a good vampire film.
We were limited in how many. Like Josh didn't want us to. He knew that if you let Drew and I especially go down the rabbit hole of films that we like, it would be like, well, here's my 50 top films, and then I have 200 runners up.
Indeed. Nos is keeping this train going and says Kronos disease is no joke. You're always in the bathroom. Always in the bathroom. Kronos disease. Not Crohn's, but Kronos. Absolutely. Melvin Deeply, this one was surprisingly good. I agree with you. Ivan Sanchez, I like how everything works and that it's all planned out on who's the jock, who's the hot chick, the nerd, the shaggy stoner, and the last girl. Yep.
Well, I love that line from Sigourney Weaver. She says, like, the virgin. We work with what we got.
Yeah. She's like, but I'm not. We work with what we have. And it's great because none of them are stereotypical. Like, yeah, you look at Chris Hemsworth and you're like, oh, he's the jock, but he's not. He's not your stereotypical jock. Mm-hmm. But they need to fit those roles, and the way that the cabal that runs all this forces them into those roles so that this all works is really interesting and ingenious.
Yes. And by the way, this movie is why Chris Hemsworth got Thor. Because they filmed this and then they got shelved for like 2 or 3 years and didn't come out.
That's what I recall. Yeah.
When Joss Whedon was brought into Marvel to kind of help kind of shape things and guide the series of films, they were having trouble finding someone to play Thor. And they couldn't find an actor that they thought was good enough. And because Joss had worked with Chris, he was like, you know what, there's a guy you need to meet. And he got Chris in to meet the, I think it's Sarah Fain, whoever the casting team is. And it was just pretty much automatic. Because they were looking at Tom Hiddleston as Thor, which would have been very, very interesting and different.
Do you think how much muscle would he had to put on?
A lot.
Yeah,
I don't see him. I can't see him doing that, honestly.
No.
When he walked in the door, they had to be like, "You're Loki," and he's like, "Well, I'm applying for Thor," and they're like, "No, you're Loki."
There's footage of him out there in like a blonde wig. Yeah, it's interesting. Alrighty, we're gonna move on to Drew's pick, Black Christmas. Why gotta be black?
I didn't name the title. Don't look at me. That was Bob Clark. Bob Clark, who also directed A Christmas Story, also directed this. And he has said Christmas is the happiest time of the year. It's also the most depressing time of the year. So there you go. You get both from Bob Clark. I think I know Aaron and me and probably Josh agree that Halloween pretty much kicked off the slasher films. Mm-hmm. But I like to believe that Black Christmas was probably the first slasher film, and probably the first one to give us the POV of the killer living in the attic of the sorority house. Because the way that when the movie kicks off, you're following from the POV of the killer as he's getting through the sorority, up through the kills. And the very first kill is arguably probably the most memorable kill in the film, and one you're never ever going to forget. Just the death by saran wrap for this girl. It is haunting, and what you discover, like the body of her throughout the film, it sticks with you. Just how horrible this must have been. But there are some silly moments in between here and there in the film, and they're playing a lot of cat and mouse about who the killer could be because they never can find them. But by the time you get to the end of this, holy crap, it is full on intense. And like I said, you never ever see who the killer is in this film. Never see it. Never know who it is. And it stuck with me ever since I first saw it. And whenever it's on now, I got to watch it.
Yeah, I saw this. I think this was another one of the high school ones that I saw when I was in high school. And you talking about not knowing who the killer is. I had already seen Seven. So for me, it was reminding me of kind of how they approached Seven. You never knew who the killer was. Similar, but different. But I think the one thing I remember about this is that POV type of approach to how they filmed it. And that for me is what stuck out about this film the most, was like, because I couldn't remember ever watching a movie that did that as well as this one did.
Yeah, because eventually we did get it later with Michael Myers and Halloween films, but I think this was arguably probably the first one to do it.
Agreed. Aaron, did you ever see Black Christmas?
It has been years, so I remember very little of it. I need to revisit it.
Who's seen the remake?
Oh, I saw both remakes and they're fucking terrible. They're horrible. I couldn't believe it. It really is just. It was disappointing. Very, very disappointing.
I remember. I think it was the more recent one, but I just remember a headline at one point that it was like Black Christmas gets a feminist reboot, and I was like,
oh,
fuck this shit. Fuck this shit.
Yeah.
Well, anytime you see anything attached to gets a feminist reboot, it's like, what are we doing?
Or
trying this again, huh?
Time out. It was feminist facelift. That's what it was.
Oh yeah, yeah. Keep going to that well. That's worked out so spectacularly for every time it's been tried.
Oh man!
But also, you had a very young Olivia Hussey in this from Romeo and Juliet. That's her, and you had a very young Margot Kidder as well. Both very, very damn hot in this. But I mean, what's great is that like I said, you never know who the killer is. But like with Olivia Hussey's case, her character, she has a boyfriend who's a pianist, but like I guess they're in a relationship, and I guess
I'm sorry, he's a what?
He has a what?
Penis.
Max is back.
Penis.
Maybe pianist.
Maybe penis. He's. I think she's pregnant, I believe, and she doesn't want to keep the baby, and he's upset about that, I believe, and you think that maybe he could wind up being possibly the killer because he's kind of losing it because just he wants to be a father, and he may not be allowed to be it, but yeah, there's some great twists in the story along the way, and like the kills in this are, the first one especially, very memorable.
Yep, I'm in this. MVPness.
There he is.
Ivan Sanchez says the recent one was the worst of the franchise. Supposedly there's a fan-made one on YouTube that actually fits with the first movie. Huh. I'll have to.
I always felt bad for Olivia Hussey because of her last name. I was like, why wouldn't you change that?
Agreed. Like, who you calling a hussy? I always thought it was a weird last name too. Like, it's one of those things. Like, if you're gonna be famous, change that. Because I don't know.
Is there a Marvel character like that's part of one of the alien groups, that's named like Hussar or something like that? Like I always used to think that about that character too. It's like a bald like woman with like, but she's got like hair on the sides, almost like a and she's got like furry hooved feet.
Sheesh. I that would be more of a Drew thing.
I gotta look this up.
Was the hair on the sides that was long? Was it blue?
Yeah, it was like the Kevin from The Office, but long.
Sounds about right. Sounds about like 2023 comics, if you ask me. No,
still a better character than Galaxy.
Yeah, I want to ask Drew. Drew, do you consider this more of a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie?
Oh, I'm gonna say Christmas film because I mean it's centered around Christmas. I mean it is. So and Bob Clark considers it. Before he died, he considered it a Christmas film. So yeah.
Yoel says it's the Red Shi'ar.
Yep, there she is.
Oh, hold on. Let me do this.
I was right. Oh no, you can see. I was right.
Wow. Wow.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Thank you, Yule. I knew that we could count on you.
Boom. You'll coming in with the
who's a counselor of visual medium.
The deep lore.
Drew, when you first started talking about this, you mentioned that Christmas is the happiest time and the most depressing time, I think. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's what Bob Clark has called it. Yeah.
I will say, if you live in Los Angeles at Christmas time, especially like Christmas Day, it is depressing. If you go out, because my ex and I, we'd always go eat breakfast on Christmas morning. And it was one of the things that, one, we would always cook for friends to come over Christmas Day. So we really didn't want to make anything for breakfast. And two, I always kind of felt bad because where I'm from, pretty much everything is closed because like nothing is open. Even like a lot of your fast food chains that are known for being open 24 hours, like locally they'll close for a day. So I always felt bad going out, but I'd always make a point to tip incredibly well that day as like Merry Christmas, or you're having to work, have fun, sort of thing. But if you go out and you're sitting in restaurants, you can just see people are depressed. And the busiest things on Christmas Day, bars. And it's just people that look miserable. You could like drive through like Sunset Boulevard and you'd see people sitting on the patios of bars. You could just tell they just were hating life. So sad.
There's a lot of there's a lot of Jewish families that go out to Chinese restaurants on Christmas.
Yes.
They're not celebrating. They still gotta eat, and the Chinese, they're not celebrating. So
we got to do something.
It's a beautiful coming together of two cultures.
We got Joe here. Oh wow, Josh, you used to live in LA. You never bring that up. Shut up, Joe. I never bring that up. Like you never bring out your omnibuses. How about that? Omnibuy, whatever we call multiple. Shots fired. I think
Joe, you live on the ground floor, right? Because at this point you own so many Omnibuy that I do not trust like the structural integrity of any building that you are in.
I literally brought this up on the last stream with him.
Did you really?
Like, yeah, because he grabbed like no joke, probably 20 plus omnibuses during that to be like, oh yeah, you can find it in this, you can find it in this, and I was like, hey, you don't happen to live like you live on the first floor, right? And he goes, no, and I was like, oh wow, I'm just waiting your whole floor to just collapse in.
Yeah, you're not getting your security deposit back, Joe. They're going to be like, the floor is sagging. What happened here?
Yeah, what's going on here? I think we are going on to the last pick, maybe. We'll see. But yes. Okay, so this is cheating, and I don't want to hear any shit from anyone because I know it's not a film. I know it's a limited series. But I will say, hands down, if there's anything that's come out in my generation that counts as incredible horror that I think is perfect, that I can't think cannot be topped, at least with new stuff, it is The Haunting of Hill House, for so many freaking reasons. But this is a Mike Flanagan project, and he's done a ton of stuff. He did Oculus, he did Hush, he did kind of like a sequel / sister series. So just he does incredible work, but I think this for him was like his passion project baby that he got to make. And he was so meticulous in writing the scripts, getting the characters right. He talks about how he was, even when before they started doing pre-production, he was thinking of the edit specifically, so he'd know how he wanted to shoot things. But every detail of this is so meticulous, but not in a way that impacts the story in a negative way. It actually helps the story. There are multiple shots in the series where there are ghosts or spirits in the background and you don't even notice it. He just put it there for the hell of it. You get the story told from different perspectives. So these 5 characters here are all siblings that grew up in a house that was haunted. And after leaving the house for a very specific reason, they all go their separate ways and kind of get reconnected for another very specific reason. But it's heartbreaking and terrifying and thought-provoking. And it just, for me, it just does so many things right. That it's rare that I've watched something, I would say post 2000-ish, that I thought nailed horror. And this managed to do that for me. Have either of you seen this?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I love this series.
Yeah,
this first season, I didn't love the second season at all.
Yeah,
but
this
first season is so well constructed and was so good, and I was so hooked in. And the lead actor, or the actress that's in the middle there, I guess she would be considered the lead, right?
I would say so.
I can't remember her name, but I fell in love with her in this show. Like, she was so great, and I actually was so excited when she turned up on like one of the seasons of You on Netflix, because I was like, I love this actress, she's so great. She's phenomenal in this. You absolutely care about her, you care about the characters. The reveal of what this house is and what's actually going on it is so well constructed. It was like 3 a.m, and I'm just like, I can't go to bed, and they do that. I got to the reveal and I was like, how am I supposed to work tomorrow? I have to watch the next episode.
Yeah.
It's one of those shows that hooks you in, and you can easily binge watch this and just completely lose track of time.
Agreed. Drew, have you seen this?
I unfortunately have not. This is the one on the list I have not seen. So.
Okay, you've got a week. It's only 10 episodes. Just do it. Okay. I will say that they kind of use the Lost approach for the first 5 episodes, where you kind of focus on each one of these characters to kind of learn. And this is why I say that the writing is so good. Is you'll have something that's happening in episode 1, and you watch it, you understand what's happening, but you don't fully understand what's happening. And then you'll get to episode 4 and you get another character's perspective, and it touches on something that happened in episode 1. And they're so seamless, but both give 2 completely different contexts that just completely reshape how you see the scene and think of what's taking place between these 2 characters, or what's taking place in this moment. That for me, it was just like, I remember, and I was with Aaron, like I started watching and I got hooked and I just binged it. And the moment I finished, I was like, holy shit, I need to rewatch this. And I just went back and then like re-binged it to try to see all the little stuff that I could find. And I will say probably some of the most, and it gets the benefit of being a series, right? But probably some of the most fully realized characters that I've ever seen in anything horror related. I'm not going to give it away, but each character is based on something very specific. So if you see it, we'll talk. But
yeah, I'm interested in, like, I might re-binge it just so we can talk about it next week.
Oh yeah, I remember getting, I think it was like episode 8 or 9, and I just remember being like, hold on, are each of these characters a representation of? And sure enough, there, after like a week of it being on Netflix, all these articles started coming out with people kind of breaking it down and assessing it. And I was like, fuck yeah, this is top notch right here. I love it. So
it does a really good job of, like, when you see things from a different character's perspective, it recontextualizes everything that you kind of think you know about what you've already seen.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult to pull off. And I think that's why the second season just didn't do nearly as well, is because it just wasn't as well considered. And this was such an achievement that it was like, it kind of like peaked as far as, what it was. I just absolutely, I can't recommend this series enough. Like I said, Drew, you'll probably, he's gone.
He's there. He's just sitting back. He's taking it in.
I've been leaning forward the whole night. I've been on the edge of my seat. I'm just now leaning back.
No, see, Drew, what you should have done is you should have just went, I am home, and then back into the back into the shadows. But yeah, no, I absolutely love this. Joe says that Joe says, The Haunting of Hill House. I didn't know you were gay. So apparently we're pretty gay, Josh.
Apparently. He also commented on his omnibus collection. He said it won't be a problem until it very suddenly becomes a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, so Zach said Haunting of Hill House was great, but the finale dipped. I mean, I think anytime you give a distinct ending to something, it can feel like it dipped, especially when you go almost, I think not, because I think the 9th episode is really where they did the big reveal.
The reveal is that's actually kind of, it's kind of the climax. Yeah, it is an interesting construction, because that is kind of the climax of everything, and then the remainder is the aftermath of the reveal. So I can understand how people would feel like a little bit disappointed by that, because it's a build, and then boom, and now kind of the same problem that maybe like Event Horizon has, is you get the reveal and then you kind of go, okay, well now I kind of know more of what to expect.
Yeah. Zach's, I'll agree with you. I've liked a number of what Flanagan's done, but I do think this is his best. And he's even talked about, if you've seen the movie Oculus, there's very close similarities between this and Oculus. Oculus came out before this, and he's talked about how this was him getting Oculus right, because he wasn't fully satisfied with what he did.
But was Oculus the one with WWE superstar Kane?
No. I think that was See No Evil, right?
Oh, okay, yeah. So
Oculus has, I want to say it was Karen Gillan, I think.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, it was like the mirror or something, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it had what's her name that played Starbuck in Battlestar Galactica, and Home Dude that played Dick Grayson in Titans. I think it was the three of them. And conceptually, I thought it was good. I just didn't give a about the characters. Ivan Sanchez says, if I can mention my picks, it would be Idle Hands. While not scary, but it's fun to watch in this days. And Terrifier 2, the lore is interesting, and the style of filming feels very Grindhouse like.
I'm seeing all kinds of Terrifier stuff like recently, like, and people asking about like, do you have action figures of Terrifier? Do you have, from Terrifier? I guess the character has a name. I don't know what it is, but yeah, like people have been asking. So it's had an impact culturally on horror fans. Like they're looking for more merch, for more material. So I've not seen them, but
yeah,
there's definitely a fan base.
I was trying to think. It came out recently, and I think it's the clown, right? Isn't he like a clown?
Yeah.
Or something? Yep. I remember hearing a lot of good feedback because I don't think it ever got a wide release. I think it was just limited release. But I have a lot of friends that are just really into horror, and they were like, "Yo, this is excellent." So
all right, we didn't discuss this, but I want to throw a wrench into this.
Okay.
Guilty pleasure horror movie. Doesn't have to be good, but you like it. It's a guilty pleasure.
Return of the Living Dead.
Is that the one with Melinda Clark from Spawn, where she's like pushing all? Oh no, that's like
that's number 3. That's Return of the Living Dead 3. Return of the Living Dead is Lieutenant Linnea Quigley. She's dancing naked in the cemetery in the grave, but it's the punk rock zombie film.
That's right. I remember that one.
I'm instinctually wanting to say, I don't think it's fully on a guilty pleasure. I'm wanting to say Scream because I think it's kind of schlocky, but like it done really, really, really well. Crap. Hold on, I'm looking at Sorority Row. Actually, I wouldn't consider. Well, I don't know. Would we consider?
Josh is gonna be like Chopping Mall.
I mean, like I saw The Craft, and I was like, I do have fun with The Craft, but
Craft
it's
is
more
fun.
so, yeah. But I don't know if I would consider. Hey, you know what I do like? And I don't know why, because I don't think they're honestly that good, but I've always just kind of enjoyed I guess the shtick of it all is the Paranormal Activity movies. It's stupid fun. It's just good jump scares. They're not good films at all. But I always kind of had fun with how cheaply they were made and how successful they were, considering that. So
and another one for me is Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. That is probably, in my opinion. I mean, I've loved Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 since I was a kid. I've watched that more than any of the others, and that has some of the best creature effects.
Is that Dream Warriors?
No, that's Part 3, Dream Warriors. Part 4 is Dream Master, when the girl turns into the bug.
Okay,
and,
that's it.
Yeah. I do love that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 4 was the one where they really started having Freddy kind of as part of the joke as well, right?
Yeah,
prime time, bitch.
Yeah.
That was when it started in Part 3. Yeah, with the Welcome to Prime Time, and then Part 4 is when it really ramped up the bitch, you know.
But I do feel like it was pretty gruesome still too, right? Or am I?
Oh, it was. The soul food pizza with all the souls on the sausages, and all the tunnel of souls. You go through his body, and you got all the hands busting out of his head and everything at the very end, and you got the death by the waterbed, and there's some great stuff in that film.
Absolutely. Zach says Flanagan gets excellent performances and his wife is hot. I don't know which one his wife is, but sure. Maybe it's the one that plays the mom.
Carla Gugino?
Maybe not. I don't know.
Did I say that right?
It's very common for directors to put their wives in projects.
Oh, of course. Ivan Sanchez says Return of the Living Dead 3. You love that movie. For his guilty pleasure.
Oh, yeah.
My guilty pleasure is Basket Case.
Oh yeah, man, that's good.
Josh, have you not seen that?
No, I'm trying to. I feel like I've seen it, but I can't.
You'd remember it. You remember it, Josh.
You'd remember Basket Case.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
First time I saw that was like I think it was on USA Saturday Nightmares back in like 1993 or 94. I watched it with my dad.
I'm gonna read you. I'll just read you the description from IMDb, Josh.
Okay.
A young man carrying a big basket that contains his extremely deformed, formerly conjoined twin brother seeks vengeance on the doctors who separated them against their will.
Yeah, I have not seen that. I might have to YouTube that trailer at the very least. Oof.
Yeah, no, that one's really good. I wouldn't say this is a guilty pleasure, but I think a horror movie that you always have to mention in something like this is Reanimator.
Oh,
Reanimator is
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Joe said Nightmare on Elm Street 4 is the last good one.
He's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You didn't enjoy The Dream Child, Joe?
Oh God. What about Freddy versus Jason? Huh? What about that stick of gold?
I liked that when it came out.
Yep, same.
Like I thought, and I thought that Monica Kino was super hot. I think it was because they kept shooting it over her cleavage.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, how do we get her cleavage in frame? There's an actress in there that somebody on Twitter recently said that the fact that I didn't mention that actress was a crime. And
the
again,
Ginger Snaps actress is in that too.
Yeah,
She's one of the party girls. Yeah,
I'm gonna look up her name because I can't remember it.
Time out. This movie got sequels?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, maybe I do need to.
I can't endorse any of the sequels.
This was a very, very low budget film, Josh. So I'm just going to let you know. When you watch it, it looks like it was very much like a guerrilla film when you watch it.
Yeah. I will say, and it's kind of like a known thing in Hollywood. Horror films are popular with studios because they usually make them very, very cheap and typically get like a good benefit, good
good
growth
return
from it. Yeah. And I think part of the reason you end up getting so many quality, because again, we talked about this at the beginning where it was trying to narrow down the films we wanted to talk about tonight. But I think when you take away that crutch, here's endless money, do what you want to do, and you force people to be more creative and force them to think outside of the box for how they're going to do things, that's where you get filmmaking that is unique and feels different and feels exciting. And I think that's why so many people love horror films, because you get that. And so many other studio films or big box office films kind of feel like a paint by numbers. We've seen this before. You're following the formula exactly. And this kind of separates that a little bit. So
yeah, when you have to actually solve problems on set, you can't just, and this is why the Marvel films have become such garbage, is because it's like, oh, we'll just reshoot it. We'll just throw more money at it. We'll just redo all the effects. We can just keep redoing it until it just becomes this sludge. Yeah. Whereas, you get a film like Jaws with Steven Spielberg, where it's like, yeah, we got a mechanical shark for the shark scenes. It keeps breaking down. All right, what's our workaround? Well, the workaround is you're going to barely see the shark. And it ends up being a benefit because they're able to create tension. They're able to create, the fear of the unknown is always more terrifying than when you get the reveal. Yeah. And like I said, Event Horizon, when you're wondering what's going on, you think you have an idea, but you're not sure. And then once you get to the reveal, you're like, oh, okay, and now I know what to expect.
Because not just that, but you love the characters. I mean, you love and you want those characters to survive. And those moments on the boat between all three of them, it's fucking great. It's memorable. It's legendary.
Mm-hmm. I especially wanted Quint to survive.
Yeah,
that guy just had mad swagger.
Yeah, mad swagger. So we're getting close to pushing that 10:30 mark. So I did want to go ahead and start wrapping things up.
Drew, 5 more movies. Here we go.
Well, I had mentioned when we were discussing stuff, I was like, hey, let's pick one classic and let's do 3, films that kind of fall into the maybe be less discussed or less talked about in certain circles. And I was like, and then if we have some time left over, we'll do some like wild cards. And then Drew was like, here's another 8 films. So we might have to just come. I don't know what you guys are doing next week. I don't have any plans for Halloween, but we might have to come back and kind of maybe do
watching a comic on Halloween night.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. That's what's going on Halloween night. What?
What's going on Halloween night? What? I missed it.
What's happening Halloween night? Huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unholy Nightmare, #1, launching Halloween night.
Oh, so we got to do a stream.
Yeah. Well, y'all are doing a stream, right, Drew?
Yeah, I'll be. I got to check back in with her. I'll be on Nerdette's newsstand. She's launching it for us on her channel.
Nice.
But, see if that happens. Hopefully, still she's doing a trailer, so it looks great so far. But
awesome.
after that, I don't know how long the stream will be, but yeah, see what happens.
Yeah, so we'll play it by ear.
Yeah.
As of right now, I don't think I have any plans for Halloween night, and maybe scare some kids that try to come trick or treating. Nobody goes trick or treating anymore. It's
No,
sad.
I don't get trick or treaters anymore either. It's kind of a bummer because
it is.
I give out full size candy bars and I give out comic books. I mean, good comic books, old comic books.
Funnily enough, where I live, and I went to go get dinner earlier, the outdoor shopping plaza where I was at, they're having trick or treat night tonight for a lot of the kids. So a lot of the kids were going from store to store in costumes, getting candy and everything, doing trick or treat.
I feel like we've taken the fun of Halloween away. You have like this whole like mall shopping center trick or treats, and then now you have trunk or treat where like parents meet in a parking lot and then get all their cars like turned so the trunks are open and hand out. Like it's just
I don't get it.
I don't either. Like, and I get people were like, well, it's not safe to go trick or treating. I mean, it wasn't really safe for us to go trick or treating back in the day either. You just knew what neighborhoods you needed to go trick or treating. Like,
yeah, which ones to avoid, and you knew which
houses
had
thing
good
was
candy.
You knew, like generally you would trick or treat in your own neighborhood, so you knew like, hey, don't go over to that house where that guy is, Yeah. And now everybody like has been in your neighborhood's been to Epstein Island, so you're like, yeah, maybe we'll just we'll just go to the mall.
Yeah, here we would trick or treat in our neighborhood, and then we would go to a neighborhood called University Village, and that's where all the rich people live. So you're like, we're fine.
No, that's always the good. Yeah, because rich people don't go to Epstein Island.
Oh, I know, right?
No, but you would always go to the rich neighborhood because you wanted the better candy.
That's right. And you know what? Even if it is Epstein, whatever you said, the parents are okay with it if the parents of those houses were giving out Jello shots. So allegedly.
Yeah, it was a different time.
Yeah. Those were the days.
No, I think it's I wish that kids could still trick or treat. I think it's sad that there is an area, so like we would go downtown to where the rich houses are, and the neighborhoods that really like decorate it up. Like there's just like a community there of like for Halloween, for Christmas. You can go to Pasadena, and there's some some of the rich areas that you can take your kids, and it's like a big festive thing, and all kinds of people are walking around. So last year, I dressed up as Jason Voorhees, and we went downtown, and just walking around, there was this area between the streets that was this long alleyway between like this street and this street, and so just this long dark alleyway, fenced in all the way with one single street lamp right in the middle. So it's dark as hell, and then there's just like this silhouetted spot. And so I just went and stood there as Jason with my machete, just stood there under the light. And my friend Marie was at the corner, and all she did was she just like kept like looking around the corner, and other people are like, what's that girl looking at? And pretty soon there's like a crowd gathered there just staring and like daring each other to come down the alley. And I can hear people like saying like, is that like a mannequin, or is that a guy? And so, you stand there perfectly still and you wait for that one brave teenager that's like, I'm going to go, and he like starts coming down. And then as soon as he gets close enough, you just lunge at him. And man, this kid like, oh, he probably had to go change his Halloween costume. He jumped like a good 4 feet into the air. It was spectacular. Plus I had my cell phone on me, and I was just playing the
You scared Drew so much he ran away.
I did. He jumped 4 feet in the air and jumped off the stream.
That's awesome.
Oh, Jane is here. Sup, boners?
Yeah.
Oh, Majestic Beard.
Yeah. I pulled it up and I was like, he hasn't noticed. I'll pull it up in a second. And then she also put, hey Josh, hey Dylan. Haha, you thought you were getting famous, Drew.
He's Dylan from now on. I mean, he's already got 3 names.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Well, we'll give him the third one, but enough's enough. Hello, Jana. It's nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. You'll have to send pictures of the baby for her first Halloween. But yeah.
What do you think of my background, Jana?
Yeah, Jana, does that background look familiar at all to you?
Oh, it was an expensive recreation that I put together here. It cost quite a lot, but I think I pulled it off.
Drew, are you there? Drew?
Yeah, I'm here. Internet issues once again.
I love it. Well, we'll go ahead and actually wrap up, but I'm going to let Aaron, or actually, we'll let Drew start and try to not risk more internet issues with him. But Drew, if people want to find you, if you've got things going on, where can they find you? What's going on? What's happening? Let the world know.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Facebook under Dolan Waddick, or you can find me on Instagram as Dolan _ Waddick, and you'll find me plugging and promoting my comics as well as my friends' comics. And I can't wait for Aaron's to come out. I'm anxiously awaiting that. And there's a page right there from Unholy Nightmare, which is launching Halloween night right there. There's the Recluse right there, going about half spider-like in that panel right there, but it's going to get much more horrific. But yeah, please do check it out Halloween night, guys. You're not going to want to miss out.
I'm so psyched for this.
Heck yes. Yeah, we talked about it at the beginning of the stream, and I was kind of sharing the fun experience of watching Drew kind of slowly share updates over time with us in the chat, and just kind of really seeing it all come together. That I'm super stoked.
And we like to ignore him for a good 4 hours, like when he posts something. We like to just be like, and then we'll talk about it. We don't want him to get too excited.
Right.
We don't want his head to get too big as he's experiencing all this comic industry success.
Yeah, I don't want to be a Marvel or DC writer right now. I want to have my ego that huge. So yeah.
Yeah, we've got to keep his ego down a little bit. So
listen, if you don't back Unholy Nightmare, then you clearly are a bigot against slashers.
Yeah. and straight cis white man. What? Yeah. Come on, yeah.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Beat these bastards. All right. Yeah, we gotta beat them.
Still, I enjoy the stream a lot. I'm assuming you mean this stream.
Hopefully.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We always enjoy having you here, Ivan. So much appreciated, brother. Aaron, where can people find you? You've been popping up all over the place lately. So where all can people find you?
I was on Legion's Lounge last night talking about Mythic Legions and toy making and action figures. I'm of course here every Tuesday that I can be. We occasionally, Josh and I occasionally appear on Max's Man Cave on Sundays when he doesn't exile us and tell us he doesn't want us there because he's doing a solo thing. He's lone wolfing it. Sometimes we're there, and of course you can find us Saturdays on Comics Aficionados on the Thinking Critical YouTube channel. So we will. I'm there Saturday. Are you there Saturday, Josh?
I will be there Saturday. Yep.
All right, we are both scheduled for that. And other than that, you can find me on Twitter, which I refuse to call anything but Twitter. Just under Aaron Sparrow, and hit me up on Instagram too. I post a lot of action figure stuff and just fun stuff that I'm working on there that I don't necessarily post on Twitter. So. Nice. Oh, look at that holy! Yep. Look at that branding. Good job.
Branding. Hashtag branding. Hashtag Hey DC. This is how you do it. Flaccid, hit the like button or you'll be banned. I can't read tonight. I promise. I am beyond a 4th grade reading level, unlike the rest of America. But tonight it's just not happening. Anyways, hit the like button or you'll be banned.
Let's just take a minute. Josh is so self-deprecating, but let's take a minute to appreciate the fact that he puts this together. He gets us topics. He puts all those slides together. Like if he was depending on me to do that, that would never happen. I just my only function is Josh tells me a time and I try to show up, and I don't even do that all the time very well. Yeah. So, Josh, it is most appreciated, all the work that you're putting in.
I don't always tell you a time though. Sometimes I just send a link and I'm like, hey, are you coming? You're like, oh, my bad.
Well, no, I didn't get it. I didn't see a link. I didn't know that we were doing this.
That, or I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to send the link. Here you go.
I'm making an egg because I thought we weren't doing this.
Yeah, it's definitely the learnings of running a YouTube channel and sometimes getting caught scrambling with your pants down at the end,
or in the middle of it if you're in the middle of it, you're doing your Silkies dance.
I will. Oh, go ahead.
Speaking of which,
Speaking of
I
which,
just want to go ahead and thank Maxfield von Priestley for the loan of his setup here tonight. It was a huge favor. I really appreciate it. It's been fun doing this. It's interesting to actually stream from a professional setup as opposed to my jury rigged iPad setup. So I'm feeling a little inferior right now, but thank you so much, Max. Appreciate it.
yeah, and Max, because you let Aaron use your place, we will let you come into the comments and be like, "Where's Hellraiser at? Why isn't it included?" We'll allow it this time. I will say thank you, Aaron, for what you said. And he mentioned pulling the slides together. I have to thank this dude right here, Flaccid Phoenix, because I was sucking and struggling, and he gave me a lot of tips to make my life much, much easier. So
some would say just the tip.
Just the tip. Yeah, well, he is flaccid.
Look at what you guys do to me. Like you bloody degenerates. Look what drag me down. The chat drags me down to their level.
Look, I blame Max. Max is the one that introduced me to this crew, so it's all Max's fault. But yeah, so thank you. It's a lot of fun to do the show, and especially nights like tonight where we can come in and just kind of like shoot the shit and talk about stuff we love. That's one of the things that I really wanted this show to be about. So it's fun to come in and do that. And I just love hanging out with you guys and talking to you guys. I consider you guys really good friends at this point. So having an excuse to hang out and talk about nerd shit, always a good time.
No, it's great because I don't get this. Like, I don't get this anymore in like my regular life.
Yeah.
And when I was talking to Max, and Max was like, yeah, he goes, I was like, oh man, I don't have any nerd friends that are close to me. And then he was like, wait, Aaron's like right there, and Jesse Snyder's like over there, so speaking of which, Josh, I don't know if you can swing this, but trying to convince Max to do LA Comic-Con. Like we want to go for the meetup. I think Gary from Nerdrotic's going to be there. Chris Gore is going to be there. And we were talking about like going and meeting up and hanging out. But Max looked at the guest list and now he's not so sure.
Yeah. I'll have to convince him that his friends are worth it.
Yeah.
And just walk by those people's booths and be like, Alan Scott's really straight, and then just keep walking.
It's a who's who of people who have us blocked.
Yeah. Walk by and be like, it's a total retcon, and then just keep walking. You could have a game out of it just to see which one of these creators will flip their shit first. Who's going to flip their
Red
table
X was
first?
the best part of that comic run.
I almost want to go I almost want to go just for that.
It might actually be worth it. Let's go troll creators. Yeah. So anyways, chat, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being active in the chat. We love you guys. Even when you're like my Nosferatu coming in to troll like crazy. And Nos has been absent lately, so I was very happy to see him for a little bit. But if you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at Joshua L. McDonald. We also have @ByPopped to get the channel site. Tomorrow night, I will be with the King of Shoulders himself, Zax, talking about more horror-related stuff. I might be bringing up The Haunting of Hill House there, but we'll talk about Twilight Zone, AHS. We got some good stuff that we're going to kind of go into over there on his channel. Thursday night, I will be on Roman Stream. And we will also be talking about I can't remember what movie we're talking about. We're talking about a horror film. I can't keep up.
Is it The House on Haunted Hill?
No.
To juxtapose The Haunting of Hill House?
No. I was The House on Haunted Hill. Which one was that? It was
a remake of an old Vincent Price one that they did. It had Jeffrey Rush, Famke Janssen.
The
girl who played Sonya, Bridget Wilson, who played Sonya Blade in the Mortal Kombat movie.
Yep, yeah. I remember that now. And
Chris Kattan is in that.
Yep.
Yes,
and
Jeffrey really bizarre.
Jeffrey Combs is in it. He plays the doctor.
Yeah. Actually, that movie has a really good creepy moment when you see the doctor on the camera, and then he does but he's got like this. He's moving like really like herky, kind of to use a Chuck Wendig phrase, herkily jerkily. But he's moving like really like kind of stilted and almost like stop motiony, and then he kind of like turns, and all of a sudden his face goes like that, and then he like his head snaps back around and he like moves off camera, and you're like, what is happening? This is horrifying.
I would say that a creepier scene is when Bridget Wilson, she has the camera, she's like in the operating room, and she sees the doctor and the operating team around the body. They're operating, but then they all stop, they all look up and turn around to look at her, and like, just on the camera. Love that scene.
That's she's super pretty in that movie too. They did really like. She looks really good in that movie.
Yeah.
So if you liked her in Billy Madison, you'll like her in this.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It took me a second, but I remembered that. For whatever reason, I was mistaking it with the Amityville Horror with Ryan Reynolds, but
it's got an awful ending. But
yeah.
But the ride's pretty good. You know who else is in that movie is Ali Larter. I know I'm dragging the stream on. I don't.
Oh, but Ali Larter was the one was she from Heroes?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And I've met her 2 different times, once in LA and once at Comic-Con. And both times it has occurred to me that she is one of the few people that I've met in my life that is more beautiful in person than on screen.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's something about her. It was her and Jamie King. From Sin City and Bulletproof Monk, and she was like a guest model for a while. Her too. And Jamie King is like so sweet. When she was talking to me, she took my hand like in both of her hands and was just talking to me like just, and I have no idea what she said. Because all of a sudden it was like just doing the Wayne's World Dreamweaver, I believe, like I was just like, I'm pretty sure I was like, and I walked away, and then my friend Mike was with me, and I was like, "Did I say something stupid?" And he goes, "I don't know. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear what she said." And I was like, "She got you too."
I was like that when I met Charisma Carpenter. I met her in England at a show, and it's back in like 05 or 04, and I was like, yeah, You want me to walk off a bridge? Okay, that's not a bad idea. Okay.
I don't get starstruck at all, but yeah, those 2 got me.
Drew mentioned Charisma Carpenter and my old neighbor Hillary, who worked in costuming for film at one point. She was asking some of the stuff that I loved, and I was like, I'm a huge fan of Buffy and Angel. I love Joss Whedon, and she goes, "Yeah, he's a really good writer. I mean, anyone that can make Charisma Carpenter look like she can act, they're good writers." And I don't know why, but I always remember that. I'm like,
that's savage.
I was like, fair.
Oh, that's great.
Well, I mean, I don't know. She was in a movie with Richard Grieco that, I mean, when you talk about 2 powerhouses coming together.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Lordy. All righty, gents. We are going to wrap things up so I can take my little nugget outside and let him pee because he's over here whining and pawing at my foot. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming tonight. I had a lot of fun. Aaron, we will figure out what we're going to do for next week and continue the spooky session going. Drew,
well, I want to jump over, so we'll do our thing, and then I want to go jump over and cause a riot in Drew's stream.
Absolutely.
Just go be troublemakers.
That's what we're here for. Go troll the chat over there. But yes, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much. Hit the like button if you didn't hit it. After the video, go comment some of your favorite movies. If there's a horror movie that you think people need to know about or see, put it in the comments as well. And then go, troll me and give me a hard time on Twitter because I'll just troll you right back and I have fun with that. Alrighty, folks, y'all have a good night. And if I don't see you before Halloween, have a happy Halloween. Stay safe. Don't put needles in kids' candies or whatever the hell they supposedly do back in the day. But yeah, good times. Bye. Maybe.